They're going to freak out this morning.
Oh, my goodness. EB the first in the house. Thank you, Spitz and Paula and Coffenbaugh. Thank you. 59. Six months away from cash and stuff in, baby. It's a good idea, EB.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Thursday, less than a week away from the big fella's yearly appearance. We've got NFL action tonight. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Thanks for waking up with us. Hope your week is going well as the days are counting down to some holidays. Your daughter still going to school, or is she off yet?
Oh, this is the last day. Another half day, David.
A half day?
Yes.
Not even a full day?
No.
Do you ever think sometimes the people that run school districts aren't parents? Do you ever
mean
think that?
Because they have half-day dismissals, and so for all the parents who work, it throws a little wrench in what their day is?
Right.
I've thought that from time to time.
Do you think maybe they've got the calendar from the 50s in front of them and they're still running that playbook? And things are a little different then.
They still get paid on half days, though, David.
Well, it counts towards, however many days you have to have in order for it to be a full school year. Yep. We know. Man, so this is it, huh? And then it's 37 days off till she goes back to school again? Groundhog Day or whatever?
Right, exactly.
Unbelievable. All right. I have to admit, for some reason, I'm very concerned about your daughter's education this morning. I don't know. I'll shake it off in due time.
We appreciate it. We'll let her know that you care. Maybe I'll add an extra spelling word this week or something like that.
I'll tell you what, my wife was fawning over your guys' Christmas card. It was a very nice Christmas card. Very nice. Lots of pictures and a remembrance of Frank and my wife was clutching it like you guys were family this morning.
Well, in that note, I want to say with all sincerity, happy birthday, David.
Yes, today is the day.
Yes.
Yeah, celebrated it yesterday, though, because
that's all right.
It was convenient for the family.
That's how it works time to time.
Yeah, it's how it worked this year. That is true. So, by the way, lasagna was ultimately what we went with. Okay, we went
purchased or homemade.
Please, okay. Honestly, you got a big one of these wrong earlier in the week when you asked, when it comes to my packing, whether or not I'm a stuffer or whether or not the stuff in the thing is neatly put together, and you said, "Oh, well, you're a stuffer." No,
I figured you to be a stuffer.
I'm not a stuffer. I'm a stuffer with food.
Well,
Okay.
okay. So I took one general thing that I've watched you do for 20 years and applied that to another area of your life. Sue me.
Listen, I don't do anything like I eat. Honestly, I think it's the thing I do best in life is eat. All right. And yes, I'm a stuffer. But no, I pack. It's organized. By the way, the airline broke my suitcase. There's a big hole in the corner of my suitcase. I kid you not. It's a $150 suitcase. I wheel it over to the thing and I go, "You guys going to do anything about this?" And very nice lady, she looked at me and I said, "Okay, tell me the truth." She goes, "Well, we'll take a picture of it. You'll fill out the paperwork. It'll take 6 to 8 weeks, and they'll let you know how much, if any, they'll reimburse you for." And I looked right at her, smiled, and I go, "There's no chance, is there?" She goes, I no. I went, "Merry Christmas." Okay.
Well, a little duct tape on that sucker. It'll be
Yep.
just fine.
I got to get through a few more flights. Yep, that's all, and then we'll get new stuff for next football season. But anyway, purchased, of course. Please, that involves an oven, right? You need an oven for lasagna.
Your daughter made you a cake.
She did.
Made you a cake.
Apparently,
So that's why I at least threw out there that maybe somebody else cooked. Maybe the daughter made lasagna. I wasn't saying that your wife did it. Someone may have made it.
By the way, she told the story. Apparently, when you put, I don't know, the thing rose like 4 inches above like the pan, apparently, as it was being baked, the cake. She was very concerned. She thought she was going to like walk in with a cinder block. And apparently it settled back down to, I mean, it did take up most of the pan, though. I mean, the icing was nearly over it. But anyway, so yes, daughter made a cake. I mean, granddaughter, heck, if when you're 3, you love anybody's party because you think it's for you. And, the wife, I got to admit, a couple of cards, and not only that, not a generic card. I don't know about your wife. My wife's got a drawer with about 83 cards in it. Okay. If all of a sudden you forget somebody's birthday or there's an event, she can just reach in, grab it, love, boom, boom, and it's in the mail. I laugh hysterically. This one, actually, it says happy birthday to my husband. Okay. I mean, I think she
actually went to the store, looked at the proper aisle, and got a card for you.
Right. Now, I don't know the card she sent the other guy, but she sent me the right card. So that's good. Yeah.
So let me get this straight. You got a meal, a cake, and a personalized card. Sounds like you came out of this okay.
That's a decade's worth of love right there. I mean, and I'm finishing up a decade. So, okay. Yeah. So got that one down. And but I have to admit, a lot more love and attention than normally I get for a birthday so close to Christmas. They went beyond the blue sweater.
That's
this
good.
year.
I'm glad that they did. In your last year in your 50s that they went all out. Next year, I will say this. I don't know if they realize this. This puts a tremendous amount of pressure on them for next year. Next year's a big number. Next year's one of those birthdays that matters a little bit more than others. Monumental, 6-0. So they're going to have to up their game a year from now. I'll be sure to remind all of them of that. Just so you know, I'm on your team. I'm on Team Moulton here.
I got so much love and attention this year. There's a part of me that wonders, do they know something I don't know? Like, am I going to make next year? I mean, that's how much love and attention I got this year compared to normal. I mean, it's almost like they've got some inside information.
Be nice if they'd share it. If that were the case, you might live it a little differently.
Yes, it would. But then again, sometimes, what's it? What is bliss? The whole ignorance. Maybe it's better off if I don't know. So someone in the Twitch chat room asked a very funny question. Canada Relief, you have no idea how funny it is what you just asked. He goes, nose trimmer? ? So at least I think it's funny, and here's why. So the wife actually a couple of weeks ago said, "Hey, is there anything that you want or need?" And I said, "Well, believe it or not, I'm getting to the point where, stuff's growing in places where it's not supposed to be growing." Okay, so can I get one of those nose, eyebrow, ear trimmer things? Okay, so my wife got me 2 gifts. She got me 2 of them. She said, "I don't know which one's the right one, so here you go."
That's love.
I got 2 of them. What am I just
Well, I mean,
how much
put
hair
one
do
in
I
the-
have?
put one in the travel kit and one stays at home.
Yeah, I feel like I should give one to the airline. Here you go. Why don't you just give this to somebody and break their suitcase? But yeah, so I got 2 of them.
You really ask for big gifts, don't you?
I didn't think I did. Not only that, I'm concerned. I mean, first off, it's a little thing, and it's a big package, and not stainless steel blades. It said. I go, what the heck are we shaving here? I go, I just did a little trim. I'm never. She asked me the rest of my life, do you need anything? No, I have more than everything I could ever need. No,
Just be careful where you cut. That's all I'm going to say.
right. Buy me a couple lottery tickets, and they're just mine, by the way. I'm not sharing them. How about that? What's the Mega Millions is close to $1 billion now? Get me 2 tickets. How about that? Go crazy. Get me 5. Spend $10 on me. That's what I'm going to from now on say. These are my lottery tickets. I'm not sharing them. This is my personal NIL. I'm going to do with it what I want. So there.
I'm glad that the birthday festivities started off with a bang. I hope that you get your pizza tonight to round off the meals.
Yeah, and I've got a full day ahead of me today,
Right.
so I have no idea when we're getting home tonight. But yep, that's what we need. I do know. I mean, Mark, nothing says I love you and happy birthday like she made me tuna mac. Okay, I know, you're shaking your head, but it just that says love right there. That's how easily I'm defined. Does your wife love you? Well, she made me tuna mac. Oh, wow. I mean, I have to
Does
admit,
that really say that she loves you, or does that say that well, I guess to you it does, because
Right.
you love it so much. If my wife made it, I would know that she's having an affair.
right, you would know that your days are numbered.
Right.
Exactly. Right. And in my case, I'm like, man, the other guy is getting no attention this week at all. Wow, man. And I have to admit, I'm home this weekend, or for most of it. I don't travel till midday Sunday. So this is throwing off, she could run. I'm gone 4.5 days a week during the football season. So she can have a whole new life and run off with somebody and what have you. I have no idea. Okay. But they're probably used to spending weekends together. They can't spend this weekend together.
No, that's over. You're
right.
back.
He has to go back to his family the weekend before Christmas, and she's got to stay with hers.
Well, it works out. You always want to keep the holidays special.
Right. Exactly. Right. You got to keep the false impression going. So there you have it. All right.
David, the system
was
killing it last night.
Killing it.
You didn't want to play both systems games. I didn't listen to you.
Good.
The system's a system, and you take the good with the bad with the system.
Yep.
And last night, Alabama was on the road, a ranked team on the road playing a Dakota.
North Dakota. Hello.
What, a Dakota. Does it really matter to the rest of you? They were 24-point favorites in that game.
And trailing at the half.
And when North Dakota went to the half with a 3-point lead, I said, it's a system play.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
And Virginia covered against Memphis. They lost, but covered. And that's all that matters when it's a system, David.
Right. I know it sucks for them to blow an 11-point lead, but they were getting 4 and they lost by 2. That's winner chicken dinner, ladies and gentlemen. Miller and Moulton. The system is alive and well.
We started our show 18 years ago and have been fired 3 times, but Miller and Moulton have never lived on the edge like we are now. We have our best morning ratings ever and are steadily adding affiliates. Yet, we only have a few sponsors, and if that doesn't change, we cannot continue. But If you want to advertise on Miller and Moulton, reach out to one of us directly by texting sponsor to 21,000 or by contacting me on X at @MarkMiller or David at @TheDavidMoulton. You can save Miller and Moulton and make your business some serious money by texting 21,000 now.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
For 22 years, Jason and Todd at the Diamond District have been making Christmas merry and bright, and this year is no exception. Discover the best values on diamond stud earrings and diamond bracelets at 23% off, and more deals on diamond fashion jewelry, pre-owned Rolex watches, and exotic gemstone jewelry, along with estate jewelry. Jason and Todd will take up to 50% off. Santa's GPS points to one jewelry store, the Diamond District. This is Miller and Moulton.
I'm with you, okay, music, hoping so too. Well, Coffenbaugh, if Ohio State just wants to sell those tickets to Vols fans, because I think they're invading Columbus. No pizza, lasagna. We went Carrabba's. Mother-in-law treated. So, which, I don't feel guilty about since she's living rent-free. But boom. I may need those tricks. Always nice to avoid the tax man. Then again, hey, gonna be a lot of changes in 2025. I mean, who knows? Who knows what I might be able to do in 6 to 12 months?
What are you eating?
A burrito.
Crap. Go to the fridge whenever he wants and get something. He's eating burritos at 6:19 in the morning.
I'll have tuna mac in a couple hours if you want.
That doesn't make me hungry. That makes me nauseous.
I know. I'm sorry. So early. Yes, a breakfast burrito. Hey, my wife put it in the microwave. She thinks she cooked. Take it easy. Not yet, DC. It's early. Well, I mean, San Diego, if if it's an emergency situation, we'll write it down.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour on this Thursday before Christmas and Hanukkah. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. The regulars on a Thursday during football season, Roy Cummings, Dr. Roto, JP Shadrick to join us later on the show. So you getting fired up on the eve of the first ever college football playoff? Are you getting fired up for it?
You know, David, I'm not fired up, and I should be. It's almost as if it's sneaking up on me. I know it's there, but I'm not used to it, so I'm not exactly sure how to take this weekend.
Yeah, I thought about what you said yesterday, but you've said it throughout the week. You think the tournament, if you will, to make it sound like it's, March Madness. By the way, what do we come up with? December what?
Well, it's December and January.
I know, but it starts in December. I mean, March Madness goes into April most years. So, if not every year. So, but it's March Madness.
Right.
So, I mean, it's December what? Or is it Christmas something? I mean, we need the alliteration. We need a slogan. We got to name this. Just think about it. Don't have to, jump at me right now. Just think about it. So, but you've been saying all week, you think this tournament needs an upset. And considering the favorites are all favored by 7 or more points, I mean, that's a decent ask.
It's a
might
tall
even be
order.
right.
Chris Kringle chaos?
I respect the effort. It's not going to win.
No, I know.
I respect the effort. That's
I'll just keep throwing them in there every once in a while. In the middle of a sentence, I'm just going to come up with something.
That's great. That's how I like it, by the way. We're in the room. We're having a meeting. We're bouncing off ideas. And, so-and-so's in the middle of a speech. And all of a sudden you go, Chris Kringle chaos. Okay. Yep. I don't think we're going to go with that. I don't want to sound like the ESPN bet commercial when Greeny goes, not bad, but it's not this. But we can work off of that. That's good. Maybe we get rid of the Kringle. I don't know, Christmas chaos. Okay, let's keep working at it.
All right,
girls. Here's my thing. Is it enough? Like, I think we're going to have upsets, but I don't think we're going to have many, if any, this weekend. I think it's the next round. I think it's the Boise SMU round. I think it's, does Notre Dame, in theory, take down Georgia with the backup quarterback? I think it's the next round.
The numbers in the next round could be bigger. Boise Penn State's going to be as big a number as Boise or as SMU Penn State if Penn State wins.
Probably close, yeah. Yeah, and also think about it, if Texas beats Clemson, what's the Texas-Arizona State line going to be?
18,
No.
14.
I think it could be in the 11-12 range, though. I do.
It's 12 against Clemson.
Yeah.
Clemson be favored against Arizona State.
You think so?
I do.
Okay. So, yeah, then you are looking at around 14-ish. So that's where I think we're going to get the upsets, actually. We're going to get them in the second round. I don't know how many we're going to get this week. And much like in the NCAA tournament, with an 8 and a 9 play, if a 9 beats an 8, we don't consider it an upset.
But it's a 7-point dog, so it's got to be considered a decent upset in this case, David. As much as it's an 8-9 game, when it's set, if it were 3, I'd be with you. This is 7-point spread in this game.
And unlike the NCAA tournament, it is a home game for the 8. So it's a more meaningful upset, that is for sure. So we've got folks in the Twitch chat room saying they're having trouble selling tickets in Columbus. See, and Gary Danielson had this idea years ago and said it on this show, in which he thought that a bigger playoff would work. And the reason being, and one of us said to him, well, what about on short notice selling tickets? He goes, no. If you're a power program, you include a playoff game in your season ticket package. And then it's already paid for. And then if you don't make the playoffs, then that's your deposit on next year's season tickets. Okay. Now, yeah, you may decide, I'm not going to get season tickets next year. Okay. But that's usually few and far between, especially with a college program. And especially if you already have the deposit down, you don't have to go to your hip around Christmas, okay, to send any money to the athletic department. So he thinks that the big boy programs, if you will, it should just include the first round playoff game in their season ticket package. You did this for a living. I mean, they could get away with that, right?
It's interesting because no one includes playoff tickets in their season tickets. They send out an invoice much later. The NFL doesn't include playoff games in their tickets. The invoices just came out for playoff tickets. You do it about midseason. So it would be different than what anyone does of demanding more than what you're really guaranteed to give.
Right.
But I think you could get away with it in college.
Well, college football is different. I mean, the fans are directly paying the players to play for them. I mean, it is a little different.
Exactly.
Hey, you notice how many people this week are all of a sudden coming to our conclusion? Hey, we got to make these guys employees. We got to get a collective bargaining agreement. We got to have contracts. Really? What a novel idea. You mean without it, it's too much chaos? It's too much the wild, wild west? We're never going to get costs under control? Wow. I wish somebody had thought of that.
Players can still opt out of games because there's no real contract binding them to play in every game for the university.
Tell you what, more and more, I hope folks are respecting not only Dion, but, his son, the quarterback, and Travis Hunter. I mean, they're all unflinching. They're like, yeah, of course we're going to play in the bowl game. Tell you what, I mean, how crazy is it in 2024 that the 2-star players on the team are like, well, of course we're going to play in the bowl game. And people like me are going, man, we got to give them a standing ovation.
Absolutely. They're going to be the first and third picks in the draft.
Right.
And they're jeopardizing that by playing in a bowl game.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And not only that, the guy going first or second overall, he's the coach's son. And the coach is like, you're damn right he's playing. So good for them. And yeah, Cam Ward's playing too. Good for him. Absolutely. Way to go. Penn State backup quarterback, he's unavailable. He's no longer with the team.
I don't blame him. You want to play. The rules are not, look at, these are the rules. He wants to play next year. He's not going to play at Penn State.
Wherever he's going, and where's the word? Missouri's the leader in the clubhouse?
Yes.
Supposedly. Don't you just say to Missouri, you got to take out insurance policy on me right now? All right. I can't leave my guys. And, I know there's a risk of injury. I don't know what to tell you. Take out an insurance policy on me right now.
What's the insurance policy going to give him? A transfer quarterback from another school if he gets hurt?
No, but
they're not looking for money, David. They're looking for a quarterback.
I know.
And if that quarterback gets hurt, they're not actively trying to get another one to transfer to their school.
He plays 8 plays a game.
I understand that, but what's the insurance policy going to give them if he gets hurt? Money? It's not what they're looking for.
Go get another one. Look just like him.
No, actually, you can't. Because the portal window closes. This is the problem with the portal.
Well, there's a lot of problems with the portal. Pick which problem you want to emphasize.
Portal problems coming up on Miller and Moulton.
Now, see, there's a name like March Madness. Portal problems. See? You're getting it. You're on the right track. Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
Is snoring bothering your spouse? Would you like to sleep in the same bed again? Do you know that snoring can affect your sleep cycle and cause lower testosterone levels? At Sleep Treatment Direct, we have easy solutions. We have a simple laser procedure that can improve snoring in 10 minutes. If you would like to get back in the same bed or are looking for a natural way to treat low testosterone, give us a call at 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Or go to sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. The Cape Coral Police Department is growing. They are currently looking for police officers and are offering a $10,000 signing bonus to newly hired officers. If you desire a career in law enforcement, or if you are already in law enforcement and thinking about making a move to a better agency, think Cape Coral Police Department. If you're looking for a police department that is committed to excellence, that invests in the highest level of training, state-of-the-art equipment, and some of the highest compensation in all of Southwest Florida, then the Cape Coral Police Department is for you. Visit capecops.com. That's capecops.com. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Lee Sterling tomorrow at 7. So only my first day. Lee Sterling tomorrow at 7. And Paul, you're right. Miller and Moulton. Mark, would our son play in the bowl game for Colorado?
No.
No. Now the playoffs. No. My son would play in the playoffs. But the meaningless bowl game? No. No way.
I didn't see it live, but did you see the fake punt in that UNLV game?
I did not. No.
He threw the gunner cut in, and the punter threw a shuffle pass, but kind of over his head like this.
Oh.
It was a pretty neat play.
That's an 11-win season for UNLV, ladies and gentlemen.
Were they favored?
Yeah, by 3.5. The two favorites won and covered last night.
You're 0-2.
I 1-2 because I got the bowl game the day before.
Oh yeah, 5.5.
By the way, anybody see the ratings? I mean, we got to talk about this in the 7:00 hour. It's over now. That second weekend of December, they'll be playing bowl games. They'll be playing playoff games.
What
that
did Army
weekend.
Navy do?
9.4 million.
Oh my gosh.
Highest rated Army Navy game ever. Ever. You know, we got a few networks now. We don't have the 3 network days anymore. Yeah. Uh-huh. 9.4. The previous high was 1 million less than that 32 years ago. DC, I can't imagine the North Dakota State game did well on ABC. It was up against Army Navy. We talked about it yesterday, T. Haynes, but unless the county commissioner did it yesterday. Oh, DC, no, we'd be consistent. You know, like our kid, like Shadrick would not be playing if Miller and Moulton were the coach in the bowl game. Can't risk it. No. Yeah, the NBA's got 5 Christmas Day games this year, going up against the 2 NFL games, and they're not going to do well. Thank you, Anthony. Do. Bum, bum, bum. There's an interesting idea. And now our next segment, Portal Problems, brought to you by... And that's why, Johnny, the whole Yankees-Dodgers World Series was such a big deal, because it could compete with the NFL. In fact, it went head-to-head and beat the NFL.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
At 22 minutes before the hour, broadcasting live from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters in Naples. Just keeping it real.
What would be your perfect eating birthday? Because you got stuff to do today. And today's your birthday, happy birthday. But you like to eat.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably, I would say, outside of sports, your favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
What would be a perfect eating day if giving your druthers on your birthday?
A massive sub in the middle of the day. Before noon also. About 11:30.
I had one of those yesterday.
Isn't it? So that we would go hard early. I mean, probably a place where, it doesn't have to be a chain. It could be, a local, delicacy place, but I'm talking about we'd start with a giant, and there's a chance that we order a regular as we're finishing the giant up. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. That we're going hard at lunch.
Maybe one cold, one hot.
Yes. Yes. Like, how some places have if you buy the giant, you can get a sub that's less money or a smaller size for free or for $5 or something like that. Yeah. Yes, that's how much food we're going. And if you got some macaroni or potato salad and a pickle, right, that would be between 11:30 and noon. Boom, we're going there. That's the start.
I'll let you think about it from there because it looks
And
like
then-
you're
no,
deep
and
in
then-
thought right now.
No, then steak of some kind.
Probably your prime rib end cut, right?
Yeah, king cut and cut. Yeah, we'd start with that. And then we'd see how we'd feel. Would you like dessert? No, I was thinking of another entree, actually. Just give me a few moments. Really? Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Maybe some fish. Maybe a little, I don't know.
Maybe just another piece of prime rib.
Could do that. I did that with my grandfather one time. We went out. I was a teenager, and we went out, and we had steak after a round of golf. And he said, do you want dessert? And I said, no, what I'd really like is another steak. And he steak. And then we had dessert.
The starting five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the starting five.
Well, we'll start with the NFL. We got Thursday Night Football. That's how that league works. And a significant game tonight. First off, the Broncos can clinch a playoff spot for the first time in 9 years. 2015, when they won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning in his last game, is the last time the Denver Broncos were in the playoffs. Well, a win tonight in Los Angeles against the Chargers, and they're in. Now, they're a 3-point underdog. And if you're a Doll fan, you are rooting for the Broncos because the Chargers hold down the final playoff spot with a 2-game lead over you and the Colts and the Bengals. I mean, any chance those teams have, realistically, of getting back in the playoff chase, they need Denver to win tonight in Los Angeles. Chargers a 3-point favorite. Over-under is 41.5, Mark. I mean, this game is 22-19. So, we want to round it up, make it like a 23-20 type game. That's what they're thinking.
Well, the Chargers are banged up and offensively do not have a lot. And Denver's defense has been pretty solid. I struggle seeing the Chargers getting to 20.
Well, I believe the stat for the Broncos is simple. If they score 20 or more, they're undefeated. And when they score less than 20, they're winless. So I think we should all make our bets accordingly based on, do we think Denver's going to score 20 tonight? And if you do, bet them. And if you don't, don't. Remember Clyde Edwards-Helaire got released by the Chiefs a couple days ago? Yeah, well, the Baton Rouge native who played at LSU, he was signed by the Saints. Hopefully he can turn his career. There's not a lot of wear and tear on the tires. His issues are from the neck up. And they're serious issues. I'm not making light of them, but, his issues are from the neck up. If he can figure it out, personally, professionally, he's still got a lot left to give. Giants are turning back to Drew Lock at quarterback. Not like it matters. The choices are all bad. So is the roster. And Jags had 2 shoulder surgeries yesterday. Trevor Lawrence and Evan Ingram both had surgeries on their left shoulders. They're both out for the year. Both expected back sometime during the spring. College football. We had 2 bowl games last night, Mark. East Coast of Florida, Boca Raton Bowl. This is the bowl you're trying to steal, right?
I'm fine with any bowl. The Bahamas Bowl is another one I've been looking at.
Trying to bring to Southwest Florida.
Yes.
These are one of those that you think, you're like Nashville and Portland is what you guys are there. You're just lurking. I mean, you're just waiting for the Rays to, walk away from their deal, and you're just going to go poach a franchise, aren't you?
That's the idea.
Well, Mark, then imagine how many people would have been in attendance last night for James Madison beating Western Kentucky 27-17. James Madison, a win and a cover, as was UNLV in the Art of Sport Los Angeles Bowl. UNLV, an 11-win season for the Rebels. They beat Cal 24-13 as 3.5-point favorites. So my theory of taking the underdogs in the bowl games last night did not work well. I'm 1-2 so far on the bowls with that theory. Lots of college football news. Did you see or hear about the email that Alabama AD Greg Burns sent out to supporters?
I did.
We need to, quote, fight back, unquote. Now, that's dangerous to say in the South.
Now.
I mean, there are some who still, not, 160 years, they're not willing to, admit defeat. But that's not what he's saying. By fighting back, he's saying, yeah, we need money. That's how
we need
have to
your
fight
money.
back.
In order to do this right, we need to buy players. Nick didn't have to spend as much as we have to spend now. We need your
Right.
cash now.
Apparently, everybody can buy players now, so it's a lot more competitive. It costs a lot more money. That's what he sent out in an email. I mean, you have to know when you're sending that out that that's going to get out, right?
Yes.
I mean, so then you have to weigh, is that a good look or not? Because hardly anything's private anymore. I mean, somebody's going to take that email and tap the reporter for the Tuscaloosa News on the shoulder and go, hey, did you get one of these? Vandy quarterback Diego Pavia. So he went and played at JUCO. The NCAA counts that as a year lost. He and his attorneys went to court and said, that's not a year. We can't earn any NIL. We can't get paid. Okay, you can't count. That's not the same as a college year. They shouldn't be allowed to count that. And a judge agreed with them and gave him an injunction. So Pavia is going to get another year quarterbacking at Vanderbilt unless this thing can get resolved. And let's face it, Mark, how's the NCAA doing in court these days?
They're over.
Right.
I mean, they are over. They don't win a damn thing.
No. And that's basically the lesson here. Don't keep appealing to the NCAA. If you or your kids or your cousins or nephews or nieces or grandkids, you get into a dispute with the NCAA, just go to court.
You'll win.
Yes, you will. Hell, they may even have to pay your legal fees. Wake Forest hired Washington State head coach Jake Dickert to be their new head coach. Man, those coaches at Oregon State and Washington State, they couldn't get out fast enough.
Wouldn't you be the same way?
Yeah, I would. But remember, a year ago, it was like, undying love for the Cougars and the Beavers. And the Ivy League is changing course.
A lot of us have that.
Undying love for?
Cougars and Beavers.
Hello. The Ivy League is going to change course and allow their football teams to play in the FCS playoffs beginning next year. Good. Why not? And going back to Washington State, they apparently have the quarterback that everybody wanted, the number one quarterback in the transfer portal, John Mateer. Well, give Oklahoma credit. They hired their offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. So guess where the kid went? Kid went to Oklahoma. Now, Miami was apparently the highest bidder, but the kid took a little less and went to Oklahoma. College hoops, UConn needed overtime to beat Xavier, 94-89. Our system plays went 2-0. Virginia was getting 4 at home against 21st ranked Memphis. Memphis rallied from 11 down to win, but only by 2. And North Dakota getting 24 at home against 6th ranked Alabama, who I think most of the team was looking around going, what the hell are we doing in Grand Forks, North Dakota? And Grant Nelson said, oh, man, I was born and raised here. This is to honor me. Well, good thing he had 23 points and 10 rebounds because North Dakota had a kid who scored 40. And Bama had to hold off the Sioux, who now go by the Hawks, 97-90. Oklahoma with a 4-point play with 11 seconds to go to beat Michigan 87-86. By the way, an imaginary foul. Kid was not touched. Fell to the floor shooting a three. They gave it to him. It was disgraceful officiating. FGCU lost by 13, and Bethune with the upset of South Florida last night, 77-69. Women's side, FAU women won. Florida women lost to North Carolina. Baseball, Cards have put Nolan Arenado on the trade block. Mark, there's only one small problem. He has a no-trade clause.
Already nixed one deal, right?
That's what happened yesterday. They worked out a deal with the Astros, and Arenado said, no, I have no interest in going there. I gave you the 3 teams I'll go to, and there's 3 others that I'll consider. Houston on that list? I didn't think so. NHL, you know, when the Panthers want to play, Mark, they're pretty good.
Yes, they are.
And, you know, they got it out of their system. They went to Western Canada. They partied for a couple days, you know, all those Canadians going back home and what have you. But now they're decided to play, and they're back in the States, and they beat the Wild last night 6-1. Matthew Tkachuk with a couple goals. Patrick Kane, the game winner in the third for the Wings, only his 4th goal of the year. They beat Philly 6-4.
He's going to be really good for somebody on a playoff run this year when the Wings trade, because he's been terrible for Detroit.
Yes, he has. He was very good last year, though. Nylander, 2 goals for Toronto, 5-3 over Dallas. And Winnipeg gave up 2 goals in the final 5 minutes and lost to Anaheim 3-2. And don't know if this will make a difference, how many of you would watch. But the word is LIV is signing a TV deal with Fox. You know, the LIV now is going to have their golf on a network that we can readily get. They're signing a CEO moving forward that the business community is actually very impressed with. Does this look like a league that's going away?
No, but I'll be curious who watches it on Fox, because people are still not interested in this league from a standpoint of watching it. We're interested in the story, but we're not interested in watching them play.
It is interesting, though, because PJ Tour ratings were down 20 to 25% last year. The Masters was down 20%. So one has to think, now, is that just because of the divorce, or is it I'm interested in the guys that are actually playing on the LIV? Don't know. We'll see. But just pay attention to that. That could happen any minute now. LIV signing with Fox. And by the way, the LIV schedule ends in mid-August, 2 months earlier than it normally is ended. They had their schedule with Fox in mind. So I think this is all but a done deal. And at 8 minutes before the hour mark, that was the starting 5. 5 big stories you need to know here on Miller and Moulton.
Well done. One thing that I think was missed, but I think it was missed on purpose, because we have to spend a little more time talking about nobodies and nobody you. Because Doug Gottlieb got himself in a little hot water for yet another loss.
I actually think he's getting railroaded. He did not. We got a minute here, but I think, Mark, sometimes when they don't like you and they're out to get you, I think they twist what you said. If you look at the whole quote, he was not talking about the team that beat him last night. He wasn't. I think he's getting railroaded. A lot of people don't like him. Love the fact right now he's falling on his face and they're going after him. And I'm not a Doug Gottlieb defender. He's been nice to us. He's come on the show and what have you. But no. I got no problems talking about this in great detail after the break.
That's what we'll do then. Nothing from nothing gets nothing, and nobody you wins by 2 on Miller and Moulton.
We started our show 18 years ago and have been fired 3 times, but Miller and Moulton have never lived on the edge like we are now. We have our best morning ratings ever, are steadily adding affiliates, yet we only have a few sponsors. And if that doesn't change, we can't continue. But if you want to advertise on Miller and Moulton, reach out to one of us directly by texting sponsor to 21,000 or contact Mark on X at that Mark Miller or me at the David Moulton. You can save Miller and Moulton and make your business some serious money by texting 21,000
Do you have
now.
a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
The world famous cigar bar started as a neighborhood place in downtown Fort Myers, and now it's a brand, a destination with 4 locations. The original place, Henry Street, Fort Myers, Gulf Coast Town Center, on Southeast 47th Terrace off the Cape Coral Parkway, and the Lounge on West 1st Street in Fort Myers. A place to go, whether you just need a relaxing drink and a smoke after a tough day at work, or a place to go celebrate. From relaxation to celebration, the world famous cigar bar.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
For what it's worth, but then again, the LIV was having less than 200,000 viewers. Okay, but their demos were younger. But I mean, they're doing less than 10% of what the PGA Tour is doing. There's a lot that I'm curious about. Like, I'm wondering, are they just, because like the LIV hires the announcers and they're producing the golf telecast. Is the same thing going to continue on Fox? My guess is it is. My guess is that Fox isn't going to add the announcers. How many Amazon workers, though, Pius? Because they've got a few. Bump, 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 bump. Bump, 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 bump.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Welcome on this Thursday to Miller and Moulton, the Thursday before Christmas and Hanukkah, less than a week away. So if you haven't taken care of a special someone you may want to, time is running out. Just throwing that out there. Sometimes we all need a friendly reminder, and sometimes, well, I'm talking about myself. Yes. So there's a subject you want to get to, and there's a subject I want to get to. They both involve college sports, just different sports. You start.
Well, I just thought it was interesting last night that Michigan Tech beat Green Bay 72-70.
Yes.
That's a Division II school, Michigan Tech.
A good Division II school, but yes. And I do think it's worth pointing out because the guy who is now coaching Drake, he brought 4 of his players with him from the D2 team that he had, and Drake's unbeaten. And they've got some good wins this year. And as I think we're finding out with, the James Madison guys who all followed Cignetti to Indiana, there's some good players at other levels.
There are. And obviously the kid from North Florida that's at Tennessee doing a great job. I know they're both
Right.
D1, but it's low D1 to major D1. I mean, make no mistake, A-Sun is low D1. That's what it is.
Right. Tennessee's #1 team in the country, right?
Right. There's a difference. But after losing a game earlier this year,
right,
Doug Gottlieb, after the game, talked about wanting to play better teams. And he said, part of the reason I want to play better teams is like it's 2 degrees outside. It's snowing. I don't really like the idea of nobody you coming in here. What do we learn from playing a game when we win by 20? There's a methodology to it, and I'm going to have to adjust moving forward. Well, their next game was against Michigan Tech. Many took that as nobody you.
Well, why? No, seriously, why would you take that way? Why would you take that? I don't like the idea of nobody you coming in here. What do we learn from playing a game where we win by 20? He's saying there's not a team on my schedule that I don't think's a good team. We're only going to learn by playing good teams. That's how I took that. I don't know how you take it any other way.
I don't really like the idea of nobody you coming in here. What do we learn in a game when we win by 20?
Right.
He thought he was going to blow out the D2 team. That's what I took it as.
I didn't.
He didn't like his scheduling. He's a first-year guy. It's a schedule he was handed. Probably didn't have a ton to do with the schedule in year one, particularly because he doesn't know anything about any of the schools.
Well, listen, Doug Gottlieb has honked a lot of people off. All right. Doug Gottlieb has not held back as a TV commentator for 20 plus years. And there's a lot of people that don't like him. And he's getting his first chance to be a coach at a major level, even though he's coached a couple of teams in Israel and he's coached some, summer ball and what have you. I mean, he's now a Division I head coach, albeit in the Horizon League, I think Green Bay's in. And right now, he and they are struggling. 2-11?
2-11.
Yeah. Now, I'll say this, and for what it's worth, I like Doug Gottlieb. Okay? I do. I find him to be honest. I find him to be an original thinker. And I like people that are willing to, I don't think he does things for clicks, and I don't think he says things that he doesn't believe just to be popular. Take it for what it's worth. All right. Do I think he's as good a radio host as Patrick or Cowherd? No, I don't. I think they do better shows. But I think Doug is the most brutally honest of all the people that have network radio shows. I really do. I think a lot of other people have agendas and quite frankly, are trying to play the ratings game. I think Gottlieb is letting it rip and, whatever be damned. But him keeping his radio show while still coaching is a big mistake. In
Huge.
my opinion.
I agree with you that he should have walked away, dedicated everything to coaching. If he's going to coach.
Yep. And because how could you ever look at a player and say you're not giving me your all? I mean, and the player looks at you and goes, "Well, hell, you're still doing a national radio show 3 to 5. We have to rearrange our practice schedule because of your radio show. I mean, give me a break." And he could, he can say all he wants. It doesn't get in the way and this, that, and the other thing. And even if it's true, we can all compartmentalize. But it's a bad look.
And I don't think you can give your all to both of those jobs. They're too demanding. They really are. Even if he's only doing a couple hours on radio, you got to prep that. You got to understand a lot of other sports, the NBA, the NFL, the rest of college basketball. How are you supposed to be immersed in your team if you're spending all that time trying to make sure you understand what's going on the outside?
I mean, doesn't it seem as if he's hedging his bet?
Yes.
I mean, I'd like to try this coaching thing, but I mean, I've worked 20 plus years on this network TV thing and radio thing. I don't want to give that up. Well, you want to be a coach? I mean, Division I job. It doesn't sound like much. He's the head coach of Green Bay. You know how many Division I jobs there are? There's less than 400. I mean, think about that. There's less than 400 Division I jobs. And that's pretty exclusive, isn't it?
It is. But there are less than probably 20 national afternoon radio hosts.
That is true. That is true. So I think this is Doug Gottlieb. A lot of people don't like him. They want him to fail. He's failing. They took a quote of his and they're using it against him. And think about do you think Doug Gottlieb is smart or dumb?
Oh, I think he's smart.
Right.
You don't get in that position to being dumb.
So with that in mind, and I think he's smart also, why would a smart person make a statement, saying, we're not going to schedule a bunch of nobody use. What good is that going to do us? I mean, you got your next home game is against somebody. Now, granted, they're a Division II school, so everybody goes, "Oh, you're talking about the Michigan Techs of the world." But as he came out yesterday and said, I never disparaged anybody on our schedule. In fact, I was saying that my schedule doesn't have any layups on it. I mean, I think that we in the media saw the nobody you quote and attached it to Michigan Tech when the words around it had nothing to do with Michigan Tech. In fact, he's saying we're not scheduling a win. We're scheduling every game's a legit game to try to get better.
Well, I will give it up for Adam Hobson. He's a Michigan Tech guard who took the Green Bay men's basketball final and reposted it with Merry Christmas from Nobody You.
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. It got
The material
twisted.
is now there.
Yep. It got twisted and used against him, but that's what I think happened. I think people took it, and to me, it's kind of like who was Micah Parsons. Remember when Micah Parsons was asked 2 months ago about Mike McCarthy? And he said, well, Mike and blah, blah, blah. He said, but, to be honest, the guys I really feel bad for, I feel bad for Zach Martin. Now, it's kind of known in the room that Zach's probably done after this year. And Zach's never won. We know the Cowboys have never gotten to that conference championship game. And he said, Mike's won. He didn't say this, but what Micah was saying is, Mike's won. Zach hasn't. And this is Mike's 5th year. Zach's been here 13. That's who I really feel badly for. And everybody took it as Micah Parsons slamming Mike McCarthy. No, he said, but, the guy I really feel bad for are the Zach Martins in the room. And then Micah had to come out a few days later and go, guys, I didn't say anything bad about Coach. In fact, I don't think he should be replaced. I think he's a really good coach. But you asked me who I really feel badly for. I feel badly for our guard. And I feel that's what just happened to Doug Gottlieb. He said what he said. People took a look at the name Michigan Tech and went, oh, that's Nobody You.
Yeah, they should have beat him by 20. Don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
They're 2-11.
They are.
He's got to do better.
And people are loving it. People are loving it. And apparently, according to Ken Palm, he's only favored to win 2 more games the rest of the year. All right. And Doug knows it. Doug said, hey, get in your shots. Say what you're going to say. We're taking receipts. Okay.
Just hope you can cash those receipts in, Doug.
I hope you're around long enough. I mean, you go something like 4-25 or something like that. You're lucky. You get 1 more year. That's about it.
Better keep that radio show because the coaching gig may not last that long, Doug.
Yep.
Which would be too bad.
Yeah.
I'd like to see this work, but I'd like to see the AD come in and say, all right, you really want this to work. How about you quit doing a radio show?
We were surprised that the AD allowed him to keep it. It's enough of a risk to hire him. You're going to hire him and let him keep the radio show? How many other Division I head coaches have a part-time job?
I mean, we know Jarrah has one, but he's an owner. He can multitask.
Right. Right. I mean, this kind of sounds like the ball players back in the day, in baseball, who had to get part-time jobs because, well, they couldn't pay their bills during the 4 or 5 months a year they weren't working. Only he's doing the show while working.
And the show pays more than the head coaching job. And it's not close.
Coach, is it out of line to ask, so which job pays your benefits? No?
All right, that's what I wanted to get to.
Okay, that's fine.
So I
That's
feel
fine.
like we took care of that subject.
But we disagree, though.
We
You
do disagree.
You think he was referring to Michigan Tech thinly or not?
Yes.
Okay. And I don't. So, all right, we disagree. That's fine.
And the second half of the comment in which he says, I've got to figure out how this scheduling thing works, is why I think he said it.
Okay. Fair enough. We agree to disagree. That's how this friendship started. When we come back, I have a feeling we're going to agree on something because something historic took place 5 days ago. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening.
We started our show 18 years ago and have been fired 3 times, but Miller and Moulton have never lived on the edge like we are now. We have our best morning ratings ever and are steadily adding affiliates. Yet, we only have a few sponsors, and if that doesn't change, we cannot continue. But if you want to advertise on Miller and Moulton, reach out to one of us directly by texting sponsor to 21,000 or by contacting me on X at @MarkMiller or David at @TheDavidMoulton. You can save Miller and Moulton and make your business some serious money by texting 21,000 now.
The world famous cigar bar started as a neighborhood place in downtown Fort Myers, and now it's a brand, a destination with 4 locations. The original place, Henry Street, Fort Myers, Gulf Coast Town Center, on Southeast 47th Terrace off the Cape Coral Parkway, and the Lounge on West 1st Street in Fort Myers. A place to go, whether you just need a relaxing drink and a smoke after a tough day at work, or a place to go celebrate. From relaxation to celebration, the world famous cigar bar. Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing. They are currently looking for police officers and are offering a $10,000 signing bonus to newly hired officers. If you desire a career in law enforcement, or if you are already in law enforcement and thinking about making a move to a better agency, think Cape Coral Police Department. If you're looking for a police department that is committed to excellence, that invests in the highest level of training, state-of-the-art equipment, and some of the highest compensation in all of Southwest Florida, then the Cape Coral Police Department is for you. Visit capecops.com. That's capecops.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Technically Irish, it's a 2-hour radio show. It's 3 to 5, but yes, we agree. I mean, those baseball players worked 4 months. I mean, remember, there were no league championship series until 69. So, I mean, the regular season ended, you played the World Series. So the regular season ended in September. And the first week or so of October, you'd play the World Series. And then those guys went to work. And they worked until mid-February. And then they showed up at spring training. Because remember, the season didn't start till mid-April. Jackie Robinson made his debut on April 15th. So, I mean, you'd work the rest of October, November, December, January, February, basically. Come on, Travis Kelce does a once-a-week podcast. Okay, it's an hour. He's got a co-host. He records it on his day off. He plays once a week. College basketball, they play 3 times a week. At least twice.
Twice.
Oh, only my first day. I agree. I mean, hell, the school approached him and he said, well, I still want to do my show. And they agreed to it. Okay. Now, I will say, what's his face in Vermont, whose name I should know because I actually did radio shows with him. He used to do a morning show in Vermont and then go into
Yeah.
and then go in and coach.
But he had it with 2 other people. It was
Right.
wasn't he and 2 others.
He coached Vermont when they beat Syracuse in the tournament. Gus Johnson's call from the parking lot. It was actually #1 rated show locally too. He used to beat Imus in the morning.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Roy Cummings at the top of the hour will join us to talk about the suddenly red hot Tampa Bay Bucs. Won 4 in a row in first place all by themselves in the NFC South. Dr. Roto in a little more than an hour to answer your fantasy football questions. Good luck in the playoffs. Good luck continuing in the playoffs. JP Shadrick will join us at the top of the Diamond District bonus hour. We'll talk college and pro football with JP. So, not to go back because, I worked the game or anything, but you and I are big into the whole TV radio world and following it, what the future is going to be, what the ratings tell us, etc. I mean, we were just talking a little bit about LIV and Fox negotiating, and it looks as if LIV is going to get their tour on a network in this country that we associate with sports. We don't associate the CW with sports.
What do we associate the CW with?
Boy, what was
Dawson's Creek?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Isn't that their show?
Or was their show? Is that
Right.
Yeah. Which goes to show, by the way, sidebar here, how smart Murdoch was 30 years ago, because Fox had been around like 5 to 7 years, and they had like the Simpsons and 21 Jump Street and Married with Children, but they were fledgling. And he said, we need the NFL. And he basically put a blank piece of paper down in front of them and said, write down how much you think CBS and or NBC won't match. And that's how much we'll give you. And they took the money. Paul Tagliabue said, we're taking the money, baby. People went nuts, by the way, late 1993 when they found out you're leaving CBS for what? It's funny how that.
And I'm guessing CBS thought that their deal was much like the Masters, that there's no way they're going to leave us
right
to go to a Fox.
They're just driving up the price.
Right.
They don't have a sports department. They don't have any announcers. Fox is looking at them like, we'll hire all your people.
Yeah, they're going to be unemployed in a matter of weeks as soon as we get this deal. We've got time until the season starts.
Little do we know, Summerall and Madden have already agreed to come. They don't care where they do the games. So Pat's saying coming up next is, he switches from Murder, She Wrote to, The Simpsons.
There are some all-timers. Every once in a while, you'll see a reel that'll pop down with Pat Summerall's best Fox promos.
I love the one in which they have him promoting all the shows that sucked and never made it.
Yes, that's what shows you've never even heard of.
Right.
Like you might get one of 4 and you're going, wow.
Wow.
Fox was a bad network.
How many episodes did that air? 5. Right. So anyway, back to this whole television thing. So Army-Navy played Saturday. And Army-Navy's been a standalone game now for 15 years. And credit Mike Oresco, who was a longtime AAC commissioner and just left the job in the last 6 months. Mike Oresco was a CBS executive, and he approached Army and Navy and said, hey, you air at noon before the SEC championship game, but you got to compete with Big 12 title game or the ACC title game. And would you guys be willing to put off your game for a week and be a standalone game? And they went, okay. And so it started working, though. Ratings started going up because it's a standalone game. The NFL, by federal law, cannot schedule games before the 3rd Saturday in December. Mark, was there a snowstorm in the country yesterday that I missed last Saturday? Because usually when these record ratings happen, like the 79 Daytona 500, a transcendent event in the history of NASCAR. Well, apparently the whole Midwest and Northeast had a snowstorm. There was nothing they could do, and they put on their first ever NASCAR race. And it changed NASCAR forever.
No, that wasn't the case on Saturday.
Well, for whatever reason, Mark, 125th Army-Navy, was it Army being ranked? Was it the two teams combined having the most wins that they'd ever had when they played one another? 19? Was it Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson? People just can't get enough. I don't know, but 1 million more people watched the Army-Navy game than had ever watched an Army-Navy game before.
That is staggering to me. Because of all the reasons you described, I don't think any of them were a reason to tune in this time more than another. Maybe slightly. Maybe the records did something. That they were both really good. But people don't care who wins the Commander-in-Chief trophy.
During this 15-year run, the Army-Navy game had grown from about 3.5 million viewers to a really good Army-Navy game would do 6. A really good Army-Navy game would approach 7. The highest rated Army-Navy game before Saturday was 8.45 million people in 1992. Basically 3 networks and PBS. We were just talking about Fox. Fox hadn't started televising sports yet. They were 2 years away from televising sports. Some people are saying the Trump effect. Yeah, he won in 2016 and went to the game. Okay. He was on camera 4 seconds, by the way. The fact the game was in D.C. It's been in D.C. before. Mark, all I know is 9.4 million people watched Army-Navy Saturday. Mark, there aren't a lot of college football games that do 9.4 million. There aren't. I think you count them on 2 hands during the course of the regular season that do 9.4 million. And maybe there's something I'm missing as to why it was so popular. But it just did 1 million more viewers than that game has ever done before. how much longer can college football? And listen, I think it's awesome for Army Navy. Everybody knows how much I love the game. My favorite game of the year, period, whether I'm a part of it or not. It was before I was lucky enough to work it. Okay. I love it. But if you're running the sport of college football, I mean, it's one thing to see it grow from 4 to 5 to 6 million, 9.4 million people.
Particularly when you're going to have to go against the NFL this weekend. And the NFL didn't take this line down. They put two pretty damn good games up against college football playoffs.
I don't know how much longer Army Navy is going to be standalone.
If I were running college football, it would be the end of it. I would be going against that weekend next year.
I mean,
sorry, Army Navy. I don't know what to tell you.
And I feel bad, but I mean, here's the deal I'll make with them. I'll give you noon. We won't schedule a game before 3:30. We'll give you a window. I'll do that for you. I won't. I know.
How are you going to schedule your 4 games then?
I'd figure it out. That's the.
You're going to combat against yourself to leave Army Navy alone. You're fired as my TV executive or my college football executive. That's very valiant of you to try to pull this off, but I'm sorry.
I understand. I just love the game so much.
I know that you do. And I'm glad that you do because you've made others appreciate the game, me included, more than I ever did before. But this is business. And we've got an opportunity to have everybody watching our games with no NFL to combat it. You're on to something, David. I don't know if it's next year or the year after, but the Army Navy standalone is standing alone for the last time really soon.
We started our show 18 years ago and have been fired 3 times, but Miller and Moulton have never lived on the edge like we are now. We have our best morning ratings ever, are steadily adding affiliates, yet we only have a few sponsors. And if that doesn't change, we can't continue. But if you want to advertise on Miller and Moulton, reach out to one of us directly by texting sponsor to 21,000 or contact Mark on X at that Mark Miller or me at the David Moulton. You can save Miller and Moulton and make your business some serious money by texting 21,000 now.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Well, RCB, part of the problem is the whole march on, and trust me, when the game's earlier, the game's at 3:00 for a reason. And this year's game went long. I mean, usually that game's barely 3 hours or even less. This year's game took like 3:20-ish. It's like a normal college football game. Yeah, it's funny, Sonny. They get shut out in back-to-back games, and they have what? Back-to-back 6-goal games?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes, still the top of the hour. Roy Cummings to join us then. Dr. Roto, 1 hour from now. Still a little early to get your fantasy questions in. But hold that thought, but keep the thought going as to the question. And you only get one. First one you submit, that's the one we ask. Whether it be on the text line at 21,000, keyword Miller, or in the Twitch chat room, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. Dr. Roto, 1 hour from now. The Diamond District bonus hour begins with JP Shadrick, as it always does on a Thursday. All right, if I could belabor a point, which I've been known to do. So this whole Army-Navy thing, if the playoffs had started last weekend, who's in the first round of the playoffs tomorrow and Saturday were in their conference championship games? We got Notre Dame, Indiana. They weren't, right?
Clemson and Texas.
Okay. And they're playing each other. So,
all right. But I'm just
right. No, but I'm just pointing out, because you know what I'm getting to here. So Clemson, Texas, SMU, Penn State. And then the other was Tennessee, Ohio State. So of the 8 teams that are playing in the first round, 4 played the week previous, 4 did not. I just feel that's important to mention, because you and I know it's a TV show. We treat it as a TV show. You just chastised me and said, David, I love your love for Army Navy. You're an idiot. We have to schedule 3 games. We're doing them at noon, 4 and 8. If it conflicts with Army Navy, tough. Deal with it. And I get it. But in the rooms, fairness is going to come up. All right. Not player safety, but just, hey, teams are tired. They need a week off. How much of an advantage? Like, there are some that believe that, what factored into Navy beating Army was that Army played the week before. It's the first time that Army and Navy both didn't have buys. Hell, there have been some years in which one of the 2 teams had 3 weeks to prepare for the game. But because Army was in the AAC title game and won it, they didn't have 2 weeks to prepare for Navy. Navy did. And there are some that think that Navy was the fresher team. And I'm wondering, will that play a role, Mark? And how big of a role when who the people are going to be sitting in the room going, 9.4 million Army Navy, no NFL, we got to play. And then the others are going to go, they played 6-7 days earlier. What are we doing? We can't do that.
You mean we can't do what they do all season long? Play on consecutive weeks.
Well, however,
well, I'm just saying, this is a sport where we play consecutive weeks for the most part for 3 months. And now I have to give them time off for a golden TV weekend?
Well, but then how about if the person goes back and goes, so the people that make the conference championship game are penalized? And those that weren't good enough to make it are rewarded with a bye week? How does that make sense? Because once again, we all know the conferences ain't giving up their conference championship games. You want to come in and go, get rid of the conference championship games.
Not
happening.
Not anytime soon. The only way that Miller and Moulton think the conference championship game goes away is if the Big Ten and the SEC and a few others take their ball and start their own Premier League of college football, if you will.
SEC championship game sold out. Big Ten title game, that game was sold out. I was there. Top row of the stadium, people sitting in it. That game was sold out. Now, it might have been 98% capacity, but I'm telling you, they sold that sucker out. That money stays in conference.
Not to mention the TV money, which is pretty large as well.
CBS had a huge rating. CBS had over 10 million people watch the Big Ten title game. Okay, the SEC championship game did big numbers for ABC, going overtime to boot. But they ain't giving those games up. Remember, it's a TV show. So you tell me, you and I are going head to head in the room here. You're going, this isn't going to take long. Army Navy TV ratings, no NFL. They'll never be able to compete with us on this day. It's a federal law. They can't. Okay, this is the first round of the playoffs. Get our, think first round NCAA tournament, get people excited, what have you. Here you go. Okay, the defense rests. And I start talking about, so we're going to penalize Penn State and SMU and, Clemson and Texas for making their conference championship games with the teams they could be playing. Okay, get a bye week.
And to me, the only one that really gets penalized is Clemson because they actually won their conference championship game. For the rest of them, I could argue, it's really easy to avoid this. Win your conference championship game.
Well, but every single year, Mark, I mean, at least we believe in the major conferences. In 3 out of the 4, the losers of their conference championship game made the playoff. And let's just say, and considering we're going to go from 12 to 14, and you and I think we're going to get to 16 very quickly, there's a good chance that all 4 losers of the 4 power conferences of the conference championship games could be making the playoffs in the near future. So once again, congratulations, you're good enough to make the conference title game, but your opponent who wasn't good enough to make their conference title game, they get a bye week. And in early to mid-December, Mark, how valuable do you think a bye week is?
I think it's incredibly valuable. But again, I don't mean to be overly simplistic, but this is a TV show. And I'm trying to get the most eyeballs on my TV show so I can garner the most money for this playoff.
The one thing in your defense that I will say, these conferences are worried about the damage that the playoff could do to their conference championship game. You could, if you're the commissioner of a conference, argue conference championship game is pretty important. Loser's got to play next week. Winner doesn't. Now, we had the rare case of one of the Power 4 conference champions not being one of the 4 highest rated conference champions. But how many times do you think in the future the Mountain West champion or the Sun Belt or the Conference USA champion is going to be higher ranked than the ACC champion? You got to
only if you get a big upset in this game, which, by the way, we do conference championship games now with no divisions. We shouldn't have very often the 4-loss team, if you know what I mean,
right,
entering a conference championship game.
Right. Now, another argument, it's not locked in, but 2 of the 4 conference championship game losers got home games in the next round. And I would think on average, Mark, that's probably what would happen going forward.
Well, yeah, the Big Ten and the SEC teams would get home games, and the rest of them wouldn't. I think you figured that out very well, David.
Well, but this is important. We're in the room. We're arguing over this. Okay, you're trying to get what you want. Okay, some people are going to be like, no, it's just unfair. We can't play that weekend. We need more time off. I could even argue if I'm one of those that won my conference championship game. I don't want 3 weeks off, which is what I'm going to get now, right? I mean, Georgia and them, they're not playing till what, New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, right? I mean, that's 3+ weeks off. In theory, if we move it up a week, aren't we then going to have the quarterfinals this weekend on Friday and Saturday? And yes, we'll compete with the NFL, but I mean, we're not going to move this up a week and then still not play the quarters until New Year's Day, are we?
I don't think so, especially when we go to 16.
Now, what I do think is important is we'll have to reconvene in a month because we're going to have to see what the TV ratings are this Friday night and Saturday, and then what the semifinals, one on New Year's Eve, one on New Year's Day, or no, excuse me, the quarterfinals on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and then how the semis rate. And remember, they'll be standalone, and I think they're on back-to-back nights.
Thursday, Friday?
I think so.
That's how the semis are going, I believe.
And then the championship game on a Monday, and then we'll sit down and because this discussion started with Army Navy doing $9.4 million. Well, let's now look at the thing in totality and go, yeah, we want to keep it the same. Look at these TV ratings. Because you could argue, is college football better off extending their playoffs well into January, which is what they're doing now, as opposed to jamming half of it into December and then only using the first part of January for the semis and the title game.
I mean, think about that. We're going to get, is it right? We're going to get semifinals followed by NFL playoff games, or is that the last weekend of the regular season?
No, you're going to get semifinals Thursday, Friday, NFL playoff games Saturday, Sunday, Monday. See, that's another conflict. The final wild card game is the second Monday of January. It's on the same network that has the championship game in college football. ABC, ESPN does not want the championship game moved up.
No. If anything, they'd want it moved back. No, I mean, for all
right.
the other reasons. January, there's less going on. The weather's bad. People stay home. All of the reasons that we don't think about in Florida affect the rest of the country a lot more.
So you tell me, move it up a week, but then have no games until New Year's Eve, New Year's Day? Everybody gets, because then in theory, some teams will have a month off. And everybody will have 3 weeks.
I think the point that this is something they're going to have to look back upon when this is all done to see how they do this coming weekend against the NFL. I mean, is there the chance that they could go head to head with the NFL and actually win?
There's a chance.
The NFL would freak out.
Yeah, the NFL would.
They don't lose to anybody.
Especially since the NFL really scheduled against it too. And also, think about it. It's SMU, Penn State, and it's Clemson, Texas. The Ravens, the Steelers, the Chiefs, they can't beat that. If I'm the NFL, that would really concern me. I can throw the Cowboys in. I can throw the Packers in.
Throw the Bears in. We know the teams that are national draws.
But I threw 3 of my top 6 or 7 at them. And I lose to SMU, Penn State? Yeah. Clemson, Texas? Yeah, that would freak me out a little bit. But also college football is going to look at that Notre Dame, Indiana game on a Friday night. Going to look at Ohio State, Tennessee up against nothing on a Saturday night. And they're going to look at those numbers.
And say if we had all 4 standing alone,
right,
what kind of numbers would we do?
So, you could make this argument both ways, legitimately. Your argument of, look, hello. And then, I'd take it all into effect in the competitive balance, value to the conference championship game. Makes a big difference to get that bye. Only have to win 3 games versus 4, blah, blah, blah.
And I don't know how long we're going to be worried about who gets a bye because the byes aren't going to be around that long. We're going to 14. We're going to cut the byes in half. When we go to 14, how long before we go to 16 and cut the byes out completely because teams want to get one more home gate? And the money that they could get when this does as well as we think it's going to do by opening the coffers back up and saying, we're adding 2 teams. How much are you going to pay for a couple more games?
But just wanted to throw out there, Army-Navy, 9.4 million viewers. Highest rated Army-Navy game ever. By 1 million. Is that, people watching for Trump the way they've watched for Taylor Swift? I don't know. If so, they were pretty disappointed. They only got 4 seconds. Miller and Moulton. We'll switch gears. Roy Cummings to talk about the first place Bucs next on Miller and Moulton.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
For 22 years, Jason and Todd at the Diamond District have been making Christmas merry and bright, and this year is no exception. Discover the best values on diamond stud earrings and diamond bracelets at 23% off, and more deals on diamond fashion jewelry, pre-owned Rolex watches, and exotic gemstone jewelry, along with estate jewelry. Jason and Todd will take up to 50% off. Santa's GPS points to one jewelry store, the Diamond District.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing. They are currently looking for police officers and are offering a $10,000 signing bonus to newly hired officers. If you desire a career in law enforcement, or if you are already in law enforcement and thinking about making a move to a better agency, think Cape Coral Police Department. If you're looking for a police department that is committed to excellence, that invests in the highest level of training, state-of-the-art equipment, and some of the highest compensation in all of Southwest Florida, then the Cape Coral Police Department is for you. Visit capecops.com. That's capecops.com. A sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Gentlemen, has your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle? Well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
So one of my wife's coworkers, good guy, Illinois grad.
Okay.
Big college fan of everything. Says to me at the Christmas party, what do you think about going to the Orange Bowl? Tickets are about $300. And I'm like, I don't know. And Eve's like, you should go. I'm like, Thursday night, just got a text. I'm now in possession of 2 Orange Bowl tickets. Look at that. Look at Roy flying the flag.
Look at that.
I should fly the W flag as well. What's the matter? Didn't everybody's team get the best player to change hands this offseason?
Win in the offseason.
Hey, better than losing it. A win's a win.
Win's a win. All right. I like it. That ready? All right.
Well, Roy, knowing the teams that you root for and knowing the teams I root for, our teams have done a lot more winning off seasons, so they have winning seasons.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why you have to. That's why, a guy like me, I got to celebrate when I can, man.
Sure.
Believe me.
Absolutely.
Wins in April matter to me as much as anything. A win is a win. Just excited to have it when they come around. Because they do tend to be rare.
Very quickly, as a resident, all right? Do
Yeah.
you think the Rays are going to sign the deal?
No.
So you think they're looking to leave?
Yeah. And I am starting to think that the solution is that they leave. And now, obviously, there's, we're looking at maybe 2-3 years from now. But I think I think Tampa gets an expansion team and the building is built in Tampa. That's my prediction, my long-term prediction.
Interesting. Well, Manfred would have a lot to say about that.
Yeah, well, and that's if Manfred stays as the commissioner. I mean, in some ways he's done some good things, but he's also done some weird things and suggested some weird things. But I know he wants to expand.
I know we're coming up on it here, but I believe he's under the final contract. He said this is going to be my last contract, which I think runs 3 more years.
Yeah.
Or 4, actually. It runs through 28, I think.
Well, that's the window.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Third hour of Miller and Moulton, which is the final hour in Lake City and surrounding areas, Charlotte County and surrounding areas, halfway home in the 239 and the 904. And as we do every Thursday at this time, Roy Cummings, who covers the Bucs. Follow him on X at rcummingsfhcn, rcummingsfhcn. He's in a terrific mood. First off, it's always nice covering a winner, not a loser. And the Bucs have won 4 in a row, and they're in first place. But if you're watching on Twitch, he is waving his Cubs flag because they got Kyle Tucker, best player they've
didn't.
Right, best player they've had this decade.
How do I show this?
Look at what do you have a Cubs shirt? Look at he's got a Cubs shirt on too. Boy, it is Cubs Thursday. Man, oh man, you are look at that smile. So you're feeling pretty good about life in the pursuit of happiness.
Usually celebrate when we can.
Usually the teams that win the offseason do not win during the season.
When you're a Cubs fan, any win matters, man. And you celebrate them all.
Roy joining us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Well, Roy, the Bucs are flying high. What a performance last week. Something that I don't know if any of us saw coming, except for maybe you. But they didn't do much wrong.
You know what, guys? They even surprised me. And yes, I am a glass half full kind of guy, very confident, very optimistic about most things. And, but I was a little, had a little trepidation going into this one. I thought this was as good a test as the Bucs have faced. Better than the test they faced against the Eagles, better than what they faced against the Lions, because that was early in the season. This is an established team that plays defense as well as anybody. The Bucs still a little bit beat up in places, so I was concerned about this one. I thought they could win if they played a really good game. I didn't think that they would score 40-plus, win the way they did, win handily. But you know what? What we saw is the Buccaneers in kind of all their glory. That's what they're capable of on both sides of the ball. They can shut you down, and they can absolutely ring it up on you. So, good for them. I'm a little surprised, but again, at the same time, I say, look, this is a team that everybody has been sleeping on across the nation. And you know what? Shout out to Kay Adams of Barstool Sports for basically admitting that everyone nationally that follows the NFL or follows the 8 teams that everybody seems to care about in the NFL, shout out to her for admitting that everybody's been sleeping on the Buccaneers because they have. And you can't sleep on them anymore. And so we'll see how the Bucs handle that. But shout out to her for basically letting everybody know that, hey, nationally, nobody paid attention to these guys when they should have.
If you think about it, 2022 was Brady's last season. They won the division at 8-9. They go out in the first round. Last year, they go 9-8. They win a playoff game. That's their best performance since at least 2021, when they were like a 12-win team, won the division, went to the divisional round, lost to the Super Bowl champion Rams. I mean, that's their best performance in 3 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was, as Todd Bowles said, and it was hard not to get this feeling as you watched it unfold, especially late, a complete game. I mean, they got everything they needed out of both sides of the ball. Scored 40 points, shut down the Chargers offense, move the ball efficiently against a very good defense, obviously. And that's why I say this is what they are capable of. Can they put that out there every day, every Sunday? Probably not. Somebody's going to stop them at some point, and they're going to end up, stopping themselves. But this is what's capable. This is what can happen if this team puts it all together. Look, they're riding a high right now. They've got a lot of confidence. This could carry them for a couple of weeks, and if it carries them into the playoffs, good for them. They still have a team biting on their heels in Atlanta. They've got to win this division to get in. So we'll see where it goes. But this is what makes you think that if they get to the playoffs, they could go a round or two and surprise some people.
Mike Evans was fantastic, and Baker Mayfield was fantastic in getting him the ball. The talk was there's no way he's going to get another 1,000-yard season after Sunday. That's still a possibility, and it's not just what he brings to the team catching the ball, but it's as the coach has talked about, it's what he brings to the team for the running game, because he draws that safety up high. It allows Bucky Irving to get some different looks, not as many players in the box. I mean, he's their MVP.
Yeah. It's hard. Look, the Bucs, I think, did a great job of adjusting when they lost him for a few games. Obviously didn't win during that period, but they moved the ball efficiently for the most part. Found Kate Otten, which is great. But look, you can't take the best player off a team, or the one that draws the most attention outside of the quarterback on an offense, and expect to be as dynamic. And that's what he's proven with him back in the lineup and feeling healthy and looking healthy. He's a weapon. He's a weapon that people have to look at, and it's why they're not going to get Chris Godwin back. But boy, oh boy, if they do, so for some if something happens, some miracle occurs, they could really again surprise people. And again, I keep saying use the word surprise because nobody's paying attention. And it's easy to do. Everybody was paying so much attention to the Falcons and Kirk Cousins and the contract. And what did I tell you about Kirk Cousins? I just, nice quarterback. Not good enough to get you into the playoffs, though. And if he gets you there, he's not going to take you very far. So I think Baker Mayfield's a different cat, and I think he's got a chance to prove it.
Roy Cummings talking Bucs with us. Follow him on X, R Cummings FHCN, R Cummings FHCN. Where did this running game come from? 2 years ago, they were bad running the ball. I mean, worse in the league, I think. Through most of last year, struggling running the football. What is it? The running backs? Is it the adding a lineman or in a key spot? I mean, why is this? They ran it on 3rd and 3 for first down Sunday, Roy. Outside of the Ravens and Eagles, nobody does that in this league. I mean, where did this come from?
Well, it came from primarily, if you want to go to find the roots of it, the roots are Jason Light, John Spytek, the scouting staff, which found the running backs that are making this happen. Rashad White, obviously, Bucky Irving, Tucker. They found these guys, number one. They believed in them, number two. They didn't quit on them when the results weren't everything they hoped they would be. and they allowed them to develop. Rachaad White especially. Look, there was a time when Rachaad White seemed timid running into a line or behind a line because the holes weren't there. Now he's become, somewhat of a power back at times. I mean, he's followed Bucky Irving's lead and just figured out how to do it. But that's a big part of it. I mean, he's just a different player now than he was a year ago, even when he had 1,000 yards. And Bucky Irving obviously is just he's a game breaker. I mean, he may not get the 40 and 50 yard gains that often, but he's going to get, 8 yards a pop sometimes. And that's just devastating to defenses. He's very slippery, hard to bring down, breaks tackles, makes people miss, powers his way through. And look, the bottom line is the Bucs knew they had this in both backs. It was just a matter of them developing a comfort level within the league behind the group that they're running behind, and knowing, developing that chemistry. And now that they've done it, they've got weapons galore in that running back room. And again, you hate, if someone were to go down, you got Sean Tucker waiting in the wings. And so, it's just a really good group. Something I mentioned early in the season. I was very excited about this group. Just hoping they would allow them the opportunity to kind of develop their, find their comfort level, which they've done.
And Tristan Wirfs was banged up a little bit. He's healthier now. The line has stayed relatively healthy. And Roy, it's not that they're just running the football well. Each week they're getting better at it. When you look at their season totals, they're 4th in the league. When you look at their last 3 games total, they're 1st in the league. So not only are they running the ball, but they're consistently week in and week out getting better. Talk about peaking at the right time. Their running game is peaking at the right time.
Yeah, it really is. And that's important because, look, you obviously Mike Evans, although he looked like it last week, still not 100%, may not be all year long. Late in the season, everybody's beat up a little bit. Baker Mayfield's beat up a little bit. It's just, and look, they have found the thing that they were looking for, even with Tom Brady, the balance, that this team can be balanced. In fact, it can be run heavy if it wants. Again, it's a chicken and egg type of thing. You got to find you got to have the success in the running game before you can count on it enough to make it enough of your offensive attack to be balanced. But at the same time, you got to give it a try too. And when they've tried it this year, it's worked out exceptionally well for them. And kudos to everybody involved. Look, the line has improved. Luke Gedeke is proving to me to be a much better player on the right side than I thought he would be. Give him credit. Tristan Wirfs is just an all-planet player. I mean, he's got skill sets that people don't see, and he's just exceptional. And you know what? The interior line is really working hard and doing a good job. Ben Bredesen has been a positive addition, which I didn't think he would be. I thought he would probably get moved out at some point, and right now he's playing very well.
All right, we have about a minute. Now they got to go to Dallas. Good news, they're playing in Dallas. Cowboys are terrible at home. Bad news, they don't have anybody who can cover CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons is a problem. So this is a dangerous game. Dallas is just good enough to beat you.
Yeah, you're right. And, we've seen that happen. And look, the one thing I think you don't have to worry about the Buccaneers at this point is they will respect the opponent no matter who it is. They know they realize, they look at the record and say, hey, we've wasted a couple of opportunities here to win games we should have won. We've got to be on our best. And right now they are gearing up for playoff mode. That's what they're doing. And the way to avoid a slip is to just gear up for playoff mode, which means every facet of the team has to be on its game and on its marks. And I think they will be. Yeah, they'll have some trouble with CeeDee Lamb, but if they can get after the quarterback, they should be just fine. And we know they can get after the quarterback.
He's Roy Cummings, talking the Bucs with Roy. We've only done it for about 20 years. All right. Listen, Merry Christmas. All the best to you and your family. And you can bring the Cubs banner back next week if you want.
Okay, I will. All
right.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Roy Cummings, kind enough to join us once again. R. Cummings, FHCN is how you follow him on X. Talking Bucs with Roy, and doing it once again on the American Paint Supplies hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Dr. Roto coming in about 25 minutes time. You can get your fantasy football questions answered by the good doctor
here in 25 minutes. Go to 21,000 on the text line to submit your questions, or twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton to enter the Twitch chat room where you can submit your questions that way as well. Miller and Moulton, the good doctor, is 25 minutes away. Thanks so much for listening.
We started our show 18 years ago and have been fired 3 times, but Miller and Moulton have never lived on the edge like we are now. We have our best morning ratings ever, are steadily adding affiliates, yet we only have a few sponsors. And if that doesn't change, we can't continue. But if you want to advertise on Miller and Moulton, reach out to one of us directly by texting sponsor to 21,000, or contact Mark on X at @MarkMiller, or me at @TheDavidMoulton. You can save Miller and Moulton and make your business some serious money by texting 21,000 now.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Christmas is almost here, and Thursday the 12th through Sunday the 15th, Jason and Todd at the Diamond District are giving you an extra gift. They're liquidating lab-grown diamond jewelry, diamond studs, tennis bracelets, earrings, and more. All 50, 60, even 70% off. The Diamond District has been your trusted source for natural diamonds for over 20 years, and because they love all diamonds, Jason and Todd now have lab-grown during their liquidation sale.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Jay Yandel, are you still in the Twitch chat room?
I think so. I saw him. I don't know if I saw him today, but I saw him this week.
This morning, but I don't know if he's in there right now. Obviously not if you're not answering. He gets on. He works with Gentry. I think he gets out in the morning to make sure we're up and running, kind of from time to time. Oh, that's it.
Well, RCB, Denver has to beat the Chargers tonight for Bengals, Dolphins, Colts to even sniff the playoffs. They need the Chargers to lose tonight. Chargers finish with at Patriots, at Raiders. problem for the Bengals, RCB, is if the Chargers win one game, it eliminates the Bengals, because if they both finish 9-8, the Chargers beat them. At least I think it does. You could get into a situation if it's a three-way tie or what have you, then the conference record plays into it.
Here it is.
Yeah, ambient. Because he was lousy the first three quarters. Well, Colts did have 2 weeks to prepare. Well, JDR, nothing had less chance than that tuna mac.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Dr. Roto to answer your fantasy football questions. We know some of you, many of you, no longer in the playoffs. But for the rest of you, well, load up. The good doctor will make his weekly house call in a little more than 15 minutes.
I made a general manager mistake in fantasy football, one that should basically make me not allowed to play fantasy football anymore. I missed a starter Thanksgiving week, basically getting dinner ready. I had someone in for Dallas, a tight end that did Ferguson, and he didn't play, and could have played another tight end. I would have won. I would have made the playoffs. And I'm in a league with my son, and about once a week now since the playoffs have started, he'll text me during the games, hey, do you know you'd be in the semifinals if you'd have just played a tight end Thanksgiving week?
Wow.
Just giving it to me.
Wow. Man.
I deserve all of it.
Tell you what, though, I mean, you were busy. You were doing Thanksgiving dinner. It's not like you were sitting around watching a pregame.
I know. Last time I ever cooked for my family.
That's not true. You love it so much.
I know.
Hey, tonight's game has got a little more meaning than I think people want to put on it. And we're guilty of it too. We've been saying for weeks now, well, it looks like we know who the 7 playoff teams are going to be in the AFC. And it's true. I mean, Denver's already at 9 wins. The 3 teams who are closest to them, who are not in the playoffs, are all 6-8. The best they can do is 9 wins. So, I mean, none of those 3 teams are guaranteed to even get to 9 wins. So Denver could maybe lose out and still make the playoffs. The thing is, for Denver, Mark, they play on a short week against the Chargers.
Right?
If by chance they lose, they go to the Bengals.
Game that we thought was going to have a ton of meating a month ago.
Right.
But the Bengals didn't fulfill their end of the deal.
No. And obviously, if you're the Bengals, you're like, well, I mean, if we beat them, then we'd have the tiebreaker against them. And let's just say the Broncos lose that. Then they'd need to beat the Chiefs. And this is where these next 2 weeks, and in the Chiefs' case, next 6 days, loom really large. If the Chiefs win both these games, hell, they may not play anybody in that game because they'll have the 1 seed, they'll have the bye. Why risk somebody getting hurt in a completely meaningless game for them? But if they lose Saturday or Christmas Day, they may be in a position where they have to go to Denver and win to assure themselves of the 1 seed and the bye. Chargers, meanwhile, only 2 games ahead of Miami, Cincy, Indy. They're 8-6. Those 3 are 6-8. Now the Chargers have beaten the Bengals head-to-head. The Chargers, however, Mark, if they were to lose tonight, go to 8-7. Figure one of those 3 teams, maybe hell, all of them win. And they're only clinging to a playoff spot by a game. Well, they don't play another home game. They go to New England and to the Raiders.
2 pretty bad teams.
Yeah, combined 5 wins.
I mean, really bad teams, quite frankly.
But the Chargers, outdoors, 3,000-mile travel, even though they'll have 10 days to prepare. And, you know, the Patriots aren't going to roll over. They're not laying down for Mayo. They're just not very good, but they're playing for him. And in the Raiders' case, I mean, now that'd be interesting. Do you lose to assure yourself the first overall pick of the draft, or do you knock a division rival out of the playoffs potentially?
Well, you know they would try to knock a division playoff. They are all going to play hard. I just don't know if they have enough to play hard and beat anybody right now, David. That's you keep talking about the Giants. Without Crosby now with the Raiders, that's not much of a roster.
No, don't get me wrong. It is close between Giants roster, Raiders roster. I'd still take Raiders roster close. I would. Even without Crosby. Even with Desmond Ridder quarterbacking. Wow. That's saying something right there.
That really is.
That's how bad the Giants are. My goodness.
And I don't know if you're wrong. That's as you're saying that, I'm trying to think of an area. You know, the Brock Bowers thing might just be the trump card for the Raiders roster being better.
So that's what's Denver, by the way, with a win tonight makes the playoffs. And you go, oh, okay, that's nice. Yeah, they haven't made the playoffs since 2015. Okay? Yeah. Trump was just a candidate for president the first time. The last time the Broncos were even in the playoffs. How long ago does that seem?
You know, we do a little thing on the end of the show. Today was the day one that not all of the network gets. And I only bring this up, and I'll probably bring it, you know, because I was not sure it was going to make it. But do you realize it was today in 2010, David? That was the new miracle at the Meadowlands. That was 14 years ago with Deshaun Jackson running that.
The punt, final play of the game.
That doesn't seem like that was 14 years ago.
I remember exactly where I was. I was listening to it on the radio. Remember exactly where I was in Fort Myers. Listening to that going, oh my goodness, they just lost. Yep.
So when you bring up that just kind of struck that with me in terms of Denver not making the playoffs. It's been 14 years ago since we've seen that, and it doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
It's been 9 years since the Broncos were in the playoffs. Peyton Manning was their quarterback. Last playoff game they were in was the Super Bowl that they won. That's it. That was Super Bowl 50, wasn't it? Because this year we're having Super Bowl 59.
Well, it always coincides. You're the expert. You're as old as the Super Bowl.
Exactly. It's the only reason I can remember it. I turn the number that the Super Bowl 6 to 8 weeks later is. So I'm your guy. You want to know what Super Bowl it was? Joe Buck during a commercial break one time said, "What Super Bowl was that?" And I yelled out the number, and he looked at me like, "How do you know?" And I had to say, "It's literally tied to my birthday. I turn it, then the game is played." And he just kind of looked at me like, "You better not be wrong." I'm like, "It's a law. My birthday, we play the game." Question me as to what Super Bowl it is. Care how many.
Never
Emmys you
fighting
have.
words there, aren't they?
No, you. Care how good of an announcer you are, how many Emmys you have, what your paycheck is. Hit me where I live right there, big fella.
Time to get your fantasy football questions in. 21,000 is the text line, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, youtube.com/Miller and Moulton. If you want to get in and watch the show, David will handle everything on the video end. I'll handle everything on the text end. Dr. Roto coming up in about 8 minutes time to answer your fantasy football questions.
You know, Mark, sometimes in the text line in the Twitch chat room, we get some nice compliments. Okay. Pius just sent in and said, "You guys always make me feel old."
Pius, I don't mean this in a bad way. It's probably because you are.
Sorry.
That's just part of the way that this goes. We're all getting there, and a lot of us that listen to this show are a lot older than we remember that we are.
Don't know what to tell you. Just, years keep going by. It's a good thing. It's a good thing you want to grow old. You really do. The alternative, not so much. I think everybody's looking at birthdays the wrong way.
Depends on when you celebrate them. David celebrated his yesterday, even
Right.
though his birthday is today. It was done out of convenience to his family,
Right.
not out of his choosing.
Right. I mean, we love you, but we'd love you more yesterday.
They going to give you a pizza today at least?
I still have leftover cake.
Oh, okay. You need
Well.
something before the cake.
Not really.
You're just doing cake.
Besides, I just had tuna mac.
Yeah, you've been eating everything this morning. You're killing me, Moulton. Absolutely killing me. Dr. Roto next. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. Sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
This Christmas season, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District offer the lowest prices anywhere on GIA certified diamonds and beautiful diamond jewelry, pre-owned Rolex watches, estate jewelry, and colored gemstone jewelry. Plus, receive 23% off all diamond stud earrings and diamond bracelets. Come see why more people will unwrap gifts from the Diamond District this Christmas than any other jeweler in Southwest Florida. Jason and Todd look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing. They are currently looking for police officers and are offering a $10,000 signing bonus to newly hired officers. If you desire a career in law enforcement, or if you are already in law enforcement and thinking about making a move to a better agency, think Cape Coral Police Department. If you're looking for a police department that is committed to excellence, that invests in the highest level of training, state-of-the-art equipment, and some of the highest compensation in all of Southwest Florida, then the Cape Coral Police Department is for you. Visit capecops.com. That's capecops.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I just found out that my granddaughter, and Mom, if you're watching, sorry, my granddaughter, um, I guess she's got family on her mind. She is almost 3. Now, I would yell at her mom because, kids want certain things. You don't always have to do them. But apparently the great granddaughter wanted to call great grandma this morning. And by this morning, I mean at 5:50 a.m. So my mom was woken up by her great granddaughter this morning. Mom, if you're watching, do I have to ground my daughter? Uh, Come on, Logic Man. It was a system play. Of course, North Dakota came within 7 of Alabama. Besides, those guys said, what are we doing in Grand Forks, North Dakota in December?
So On3 is reporting, I don't know if you saw this already, David, because it's been reposted, but it was just posted. Oregon 5-star wide receiver Dallas Wilson has requested to be released from financial documents with the Ducks, plans to sign with Florida once he's released.
So he's not going to play in the playoffs?
No, I think this is a 5-star signee. This is
so he committed to Oregon and now wants to back out.
Right.
Interesting.
Morning.
Hi, Doc.
Morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's our plan next week?
You tell me. Is there a reason to have a next week?
Yes, because next week would be the fantasy championships for people.
Okay. Well, we could do it next week. It's a Thursday. I mean,
Thursday should be okay.
Okay.
Unless you want to do Friday instead. Either one is fine.
Well, the problem is I have to move our 9 o'clock guest on Thursday to Friday.
All right, so let's plan on Thursday.
Perfect.
Okay. We'll keep it,
That's fine.
Same bad time, same bad channel.
Yeah. So do you know anything behind that text yesterday or nothing?
About that new person in charge?
Yeah.
Apparently, really sharp Young was a student there. Okay. And is only a couple years removed and worked on all the sporting events while a student.
So it just made more sense.
Well, apparently the guy that was brought in was an a-hole and they couldn't get rid of him fast enough.
Really?
That's what I was told. So
Miss Roto didn't say that to me.
Well, okay. Well,
yeah, lucky.
but I hope the information was helpful.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. The why is the NFL playing next Wednesday?
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
It's 22 minutes till the top of the hour. JP Shadrick will join us at that time. But Dr. Roto joins us for his weekly house call on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. And early Merry Christmas to you and your family, Doc. How are you?
Same to you and yours. I hope Santa hooks you up next week. But I'm just trying to go through this here. The NFL does this, and I kind of hate it. They go Saturdays, they go Thursdays. They just take up this whole time of year. Like next week, is there any good reason why they're playing on Christmas when that's been an NBA only, literally my whole life?
I think you just answered your question. They're taking over the world, and when they threw the Saints-Vikings game 4 or 5 years ago, it was either 2019 or 2020, when they threw that game on Christmas Day just for the heck of it, and Fox aired it, and it did big numbers. The NFL went, I'll be damned. And they've been scheduling games on Christmas. Alvin Kamara scored 5 touchdowns, wore the gold cleats. Everybody went, that was entertaining. Okay, and the NFL
So
said,
basically, any year that it's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we get Christmas football from now on. Even Monday, right? It's only
We're gonna
Tuesday,
get
maybe we
Christmas
don't.
football for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Doc. I mean, you can write it down that the games have done too well. The Wednesday was the one we thought we might get off. They're not giving Wednesday up, so they're never giving this game up.
Right. It's great. So, well, look, people are heading into their fantasy semifinals. Hopefully, if you're listening to this show, and well, for many other reasons, but hopefully you're in your semifinals. But this is it gets a little messy. Week 16 and moving forward just gets dicey. Guys get benched, as we've seen. Kirk Cousins and Will Levis. Guys are injured and are out for the year. So Nick Chubb. So you got to be really careful here.
All right. Who sits out of this group? Keenan Allen, Addison, Devontae Smith. Who are you sitting?
Just writing it down so I don't forget. Keenan Allen, Devonta Smith, and who else was the other one?
Addison.
Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, and I don't think I am, the Lions are dreadful against slot receivers. And that's where Keenan Allen lines up. So I'm definitely playing Keenan Allen, and Caleb throws to him a lot. So he's definitely in play. I think the question now comes with Addison, where what are the Vikings going to do in this game? Sometimes they throw to Addison. Sometimes it's Hawkinson. Like, you don't always know. I love Addison, and he has really turned into a terrific number 2. But can we rely on him versus can we rely on Devonta Smith? And the reason I say that is Saquon didn't do a whole lot last week. We're going to see more Saquon this week. So I think the answer to your question is Keenan Allen for sure, 100%. And then it becomes a toss-up. I'll lean Devonta Smith, but it's close.
Gator grad is in the playoff semifinals. Full PPR flex spot. He needs one of these 3. Tyreek, Shakir, Bigsby.
Right now, I couldn't imagine not playing Tyreek. I know he didn't practice yet. I think he'll play. I do. I think he'll play. The problem with Shakir this week, look, Buffalo's winning this game, but not the way you think. I really think we could have like three rushing touchdowns out of the 4 they're supposed to have. So we could have a James Cook, you could have a Ray Davis, you could have a Ty Johnson, you could have a Josh Allen, because you could run on the Patriots all day, and they will. Tank Bigsby, you'd have to tell me that ETN is out. If ETN is out, I'll think about it. But right now, I don't know. I don't know that for sure.
Who are you starting, Baker, Tua, or Sam Darnold?
I'm starting Baker Mayfield against the Cowboys. I think that feels like a really good spot. I feel it feels like a really high-scoring game, and it's a game that the Buccaneers need, right? At this point in your fantasy playoffs, you're looking for guys who have a reason. Baker's got a reason. So reasons are good this time of year, and I still like Mike Evans because they both have a reason to succeed.
TD Tanner, PPR flex, one of these 3, Jerome Ford, DeAndre Hopkins, Jaden Reed.
Okay, so Hopkins is, wow, that's a pretty interesting start. That's the revenge narrative personified, isn't it? Kind of like that one. Yeah, so Jaden Reed, I don't need Jaden Reed. I mean, I'm always fine with Jaden Reed, but I don't need him. Obviously, I love Ford because he's going to get every touch in the world. So I think I like Ford based on sheer volume. But boy, I'm all about the revenge narrative, and DeAndre Hopkins is finally in the end zone.
Another
quarterback question involving Sam Darnold or Lamar Jackson?
Are you serious?
Hey, I'm just reading the questions, Doc.
Are you serious? Look, Sam Darnold has played magical football. He really has. But I'm never sitting Lamar Jackson. I mean, this is Lamar's time of year. Remember what he did last year this time? He literally won himself an MVP.
Remember to text 21,000. If you've not done it in a while, you need to text the keyword Miller. Getting informed from Michigan. They're getting a lot of Doc Roto texts this morning. So you need to put the new keyword in Miller and send me your questions at 21,000.
That means, by the way, we've done the whole season with Dr. Roto, and you haven't sent in a single question, and now you're going to start sending in questions? Okay. We see how you operate. Bob Clark says he's playing in a 2-week final. I don't know how frequent that is, but he wants to know, do I play Harrison or Ridley? And he wishes you a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Bob. So let's see. Harrison gets the Giants this week and Washington next week. Ridley gets Indianapolis and Jacksonville. But Ridley's going to get something that I kind of like, Mason Rudolph. I do. Mason Rudolph is a real quarterback. And if you remember what Mason Rudolph did with Ridley before, it was a beautiful sight, right? So let's go with Ridley.
PPR, one wide receiver spot, McLaurin or Neighbors?
Yeah, so I really do not like Terry McLaurin this week. The Eagles' pass defense has been sharp. It's been sharp. And the thing is, without Noah Brown, you've got the flavor of the week as the second receiver. Is it De'Ami Brown? Is it Zacchaeus? Is it Luke McCaffrey? I don't know. Who cares? I'm triple covering Terry McLaurin, right? So Neighbors is going to get peppered with targets. The Falcons let up a ton of yards. I mean, Neighbors never finds the end zone, but he certainly can get 14 to 16 fantasy points.
All right, this guy says, I've lost 4 running backs in the last 2 weeks. I need 2. Reynolds, Singletary, Kendra Miller. Who sits?
I mean, when it comes down to that, you know you're in trouble, right?
Yes.
You're playing Kendra Miller, who's looked pretty good, to be quite honest with you. I guess I'm playing Singletary, but I don't feel good about it. But, you know, Brian Abel just loves the dude. And if they're near the goal line, he seems to want to give him the football. Gave it to him twice last week.
Yeah, he won't give Tracy the ball 20-plus times. He seems to stop at about 14, so Singletary's still getting used. Sonny needs PPR. Pick 2 of these 3, Jamison Williams, Ladd McConkey, or Flowers.
Is it everybody's grandma that calls people Sonny because they can't remember their names? Or is that just my grandma?
Well, that's Sonny with an O. His Twitch handle is Sonny with a U.
Oh, Sonny with an O. Is that my grandma? Like, Sonny, what's going on? I'm like, grandma, you know, it's me. I'm always playing Ladd McConkey because I love Ladd McConkey.
And he doesn't have anybody else.
I mean, Justin Herbert, without Ladd McConkey, he just doesn't know what to do with himself. That's how good Ladd McConkey is. He's I don't want to say generational, but he's a pretty talented dude. If he can just stay healthy. I mean, he's got, you know, great slot receiver vibes going on. Zay Flowers against the Steelers. I don't love Jameson against the Bears. You don't beat the Bears with guys like Jameson. You beat the Bears with Jahmyr Gibbs, who's, you know, you want a guy to play in DraftKings. Please start your lineups here. 2 guys, Jahmyr Gibbs and Trey McBride. Thank me later. And Sam Laporta. They do great. A lot. Tight ends do great against the Bears. So you got to sit Jameson.
Stroud or Darnold? Who are you starting?
Here I'd start Sam Darnold. I don't love this. Feels like a letdown game for the Vikings. This feels like a trap game. Okay. So you know when it feels too good, Sam's look good, they played really well, Seattle's looked like crap, blah, blah, blah. You fly out to the Pacific Northwest, it's kind of misty out there, kind of rainy, crappy, and then all of a sudden Seattle dominates. That's what's going to happen this week. I don't love Sam Darnold. He's fine, but I don't love him.
All right. I don't think this was the same question that was asked through the text line, but JB Vike wants to know PPR. I can only pick 1. Hopkins, Downs, or McMillan?
So great question. That's actually a pretty good question. Downs is really hard to trust because Anthony Richardson is hard to trust. If there's any one receiver you like, it is Downs. But once again, Anthony Richardson is going to complete 10 to 12 passes. It's not a great number. Hopkins, as I said, has the revenge narrative going on. You know he's going to want to score against his old team. I mean, that's just obvious. McMillan has been terrific. He really has. The Buccaneers are projected to score 26 points. I think they could have 30-something points. So I think Hopkins gets the touchdown, but I think if you're asking me who could have a bigger boom game, it could be McMillan. So we're going to say it like this. Hopkins has the higher floor, McMillan the higher ceiling.
Penix, Purdy, or Mac Jones? Franklin wants to know who to start.
Yeah, so I'm glad people asked about this because I want to discuss this. I really like Michael Penix, okay? That said, he's a lefty. The ball leaves his hand differently. The laces are different. It takes guys time to figure that out. Now you're saying, won't they do that in practice? Maybe, but Michael Penix throws the ball at 1,000,000 miles an hour. He's throwing fastballs out there. He's not throwing Kirk Cousins, eephus pitches, right? So when this ball is being rocketed at you, I think it's going to take a little timing going on here. I think I like Purdy a little bit to be safe. I think that game against Miami could be a little high scoring. Mac Jones, I don't know that game. Who wants to watch that game?
The Autumn Wind has a question for you. Needs a quarterback. This seems like a trick question. Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Jordan Love? I mean, isn't it obvious?
You would think it's obvious, and there's some obviousness to it, except for the following. Jordan Love and the Packers haven't been throwing a ton. He's been efficient. He's been effective, but they've fallen in love with Josh Jacobs. Remember the beginning of the year, they didn't love Josh Jacobs. Now they love him. And so when you see 28-point total, 2 of those touchdowns could be Josh Jacobs. So now all of a sudden you're saying to yourself, maybe Jordan Love is going to be a good player, but he's not going to be a great play. So that's why Caleb Williams is in play, right? He is in play to me because the Lions are a train wreck right now, just injury-wise. But if you're asking me if I'm in my fantasy playoffs, do I trust Caleb Williams or Jordan Love? Please give me Jordan Love.
Shakir or Flowers for a playoff flex?
Yeah, so once again, I'm going to go to the fact of 2 things. Bills are going to run the ball. Josh Allen is not going to throw for 500 yards this week. Shakir does better against zone coverage than man. Patriots run a lot of man. I like Shakir, but I think you play Flowers.
Getting pressed for time. Castillo wants to know first round of playoffs, Lamar or Daniels?
Closer call. Still give me Lamar at home. Eagles are scary.
Aaron Jones, Hubbard, or the San Francisco running back whose name I will botch if I try to pronounce it right now?
Oh, you could say Garendo. I like Garendo. Who are my other choices?
Aaron Jones or Hubbard?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Chuba Hubbard in what we call flop lag, which means he flopped last week. I don't think he flops 2 weeks in a row.
Larry wants to know, pick 2 of these 3, Bigsby, McMillan, Tim Patrick.
Tank and McMillan, unless we know that there's an injury there in the Bears game, we don't play Patrick.
And Michael texted me and said, listen, I got knocked out of my fantasy playoffs, so I'm concentrating on the prop bets. You got a couple for tonight and or Saturday's game that you like.
I have not looked at any props. I usually look at it right before the game. But tell Michael that I will put something on X at Dr. Roto.
I will. Okay. Hey, listen, all the best to you and your family. One other question. Ryan wants to know, Neighbors or Flowers?
I'll go with Neighbors, but that's close.
Okay. And Ambient just texted in McLaurin or D. Smith?
Ooh. I think I'm going to go with the number 1. Give me McLaurin over Smith, but I don't love McLaurin this week. Tough matchup.
All right. Hey, thanks for everything. We'll do it again next week, but Merry Christmas and all the best to you and your family.
Same to you and yours, guys. Talk to you soon. Be well.
DrRoto.com, DrRoto.com. It is a tremendous fantasy website. He's hired a terrific staff that give out great advice on all sports. Follow him on X at Dr. Roto, DrRoto. Listen to him Saturday mornings on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio.
Good luck to all of you who are in your fantasy football semifinals. Hopefully you'll be around next week to have Doc answer more of your questions. JP Shadrick, he's next on Miller and Moulton. We started our show 18 years ago and have been fired 3 times, but Miller and Moulton have never lived on the edge like we are now. We have our best morning ratings ever and are steadily adding affiliates. Yet, we only have a few sponsors, and if that doesn't change, we cannot continue. But if you want to advertise on Miller and Moulton, reach out to one of us directly by texting sponsor to 21,000 or by contacting me on X at @MarkMiller or David at @TheDavidMoulton. You can save Miller and Moulton and make your business some serious money by texting 21,000 now. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
The world-famous cigar bar started as a neighborhood place in downtown Fort Myers, and now it's a brand, a destination, with 4 locations. The original place, Henry Street, Fort Myers, Gulf Coast Town Center, on Southeast 47th Terrace off the Cape Coral Parkway, and the Lounge on West 1st Street in Fort Myers. A place to go, whether you just need a relaxing drink and a smoke after a tough day at work, or a place to go celebrate. From relaxation to celebration, the world-famous cigar bar.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Good morning, David.
Hey, good morning, JP. I'm filling out all my medical forms right now, so
nice.
sorry to
interrupt.
Sitting here boring. But okay, I submitted everything. So
we're in. You're in.
I'm in. Exactly. Okay. Which is why I show up a minute and a half before my appointment when they're always like, we would like you to get here a half an hour early. Yeah, I don't think so. Filled in all my stuff. Okay. No, I'm good. Thanks. So how's life?
You got a game this week? What do you got?
Monday night. I have a Jacksonville basketball game Saturday night in Orlando because I do their road games on radio. And they asked me to do their baseball games this year, all their home games.
JU?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
What's his face? Manzi left the SID gig a year ago, and he said, I can't do road games. He still does home games. So I filled in last year and did all their road conference games.
Wow.
and their game at Purdue. And then so I have the same basketball gig this year. It's on 1010 streaming. A couple of them are actually on the radio, but most of them are just streaming. And
Nice.
And then ESPN Plus for the baseball.
It's great.
So
love it.
Yeah, I'll have to.
I did JU stuff. I mean, when I lived here before, like way back when they started the asun.tv thing.
So when you were doing AAA baseball?
No, it was AA here. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This would have been, gosh, 07, 8, 9. Yeah.
The Kershaw Stanton years.
Yeah, and then but I did a bunch of JU stuff then, and yeah.
Right. asun.tv, right?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 30, 40 people.
There was like a production, I forget, they had it in a van down by the river. Like literally, it was in this white van. They opened the side doors.
And true. If you go down the hill, it is by the river.
They rolled cables in and just had like a 2-person table on the court side. Yeah. It was funny. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a few of those at FGCU for a
couple
years. Oh, yeah.
I bet.
How are you, JP?
I'm well, Mark. What's up?
Just another day.
No, it's going to be the best day. Come on.
All
man.
right. That's going to be the
just
best
another day. We need a little more energy out of you, Mark.
All right. I'll
come on, man.
I'll wake up here.
By the way, JP.
What?
Baxberg has just commented in the Twitch chat room. In honor of your appearance today, which Miller and Moulton regular would you most like to have a beer with? And he lists you as number 1.
Wow.
Which is good because JP drinks, Baxberg, so he'll take you up on that.
It won't just be one.
That's my man.
Especially if somebody else is paying.
Spoken like a true member of the media.
Totally. Yep. Give him free parking. Look out.
Come on down. Appreciate that compliment. That's nice.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And we begin the Diamond District bonus hour on a Thursday the way we always have throughout the football season with JP Shadrick. He of the Jags Radio Network, Touchdown Radio, college football play-by-play, Westwood One NFL play-by-play. You're working Christmas, aren't you?
I am, yeah. Good morning. I've got Chiefs at Steelers, 1 o'clock Christmas Day. Should be a decent game. Actually, it's funny because if the Chiefs win and the Bills lose, the Chiefs already secure the number 1 seed after this week. And then the only thing that would kind of be in play is the NFC or the AFC North with the Steelers, and who knows, they're playing the Ravens this week. So
JP. The Bills are playing the Patriots, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just giving you the scenario.
Right.
If it's in any given Sunday, Dave, don't do that to me.
JP Shadrick's joining us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. You can follow him on X at JP Shadrick, SHADRICK.
They get paid too, Dave. They get paid too.
But a better scenario was maybe Mahomes doesn't play this week. They lose, the 1 seed still on the line, and you've got a lot to be playing for, and a lot to be announcing for that Steelers Chiefs game.
I mean, he's practicing this week.
Yeah,
apparently he's practicing full. So I mean, they're going for it, and I don't blame him. And I like that. And if it's not going to hurt him further and get worse, then you go play. I mean, that's it. So either way, it's going to be a fantastic game, I think, on Christmas Day. Some great games this week too. Obviously the Saturday games of those 4 teams, the round robin, they play again on Christmas Day. And then some big games coming up this weekend, all the playoff college games this week. This Saturday, the slate of games all at one time going on with FCS playoffs, with the playoff FBS games, and then the Saturday NFL games.
Look at JP.
Come on.
Look at JP throwing in Montana State, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, and South Dakota.
Good football.
It is good football. I just didn't realize you had great affection for it.
Well, I used to live in South Dakota, so I know both schools well. I mean, the Coyotes and the Jackrabbits, baby. Come on, man. Like,
which ones got the bells like Mississippi State?
That I don't know.
Oh, one of them did. Come on. How could you not know that?
I never went to a game there. I moved away in September. I was too cold. I'm not. Come on. Yeah.
How long did you live in South Dakota? Because David's a proud former resident of Fargo. He speaks about it with such passion and such reverence, and you don't seem to have the same love of the Dakota to the south.
Well, it was also 20 years ago, right? I mean, I lived there for 9 months. I moved there in February, and then I left in what would that be? September, I guess.
You did a minor league baseball season, is what you're saying.
I did 90 games. Yep. I did. Sioux Falls Canaries baseball in the Northern League.
There you go.
Played the Fargo Moorhead Redhawks a lot. They were
damn right you did. The Winnipeg Gold Eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those teams. Sioux City Explorers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The Sioux City, Iowa stadium was in the meatpacking district. It smelled like dead animals all the time.
Hey, don't laugh. They had a pitch clock, remember? They had a pitch clock, all right?
They needed a pitch clock.
Yeah, we need some. It was such a weird league, though, because you'd have like a former major league player.
Right.
Like we'd have, Roberto Clemente's nephew who played in the big leagues for a little bit against a guy who they signed from the local community college to pitch that night.
Right. Jack Morris pitched in that league.
Yeah. And they're throwing meatballs up there. So you'll have just skewed scores. And some nights it's a great game. Some nights there's 3 fights. You don't know.
Darryl Strawberry played in that league for a couple months on working his way back before he signed with the Yankees.
But I like Sioux Falls. It's a good city. It really is. It really is.
So, Mark, I mean, we're going to get to the playoffs, okay? How do you think they're going to do? Especially Saturday when they got to compete with, 2 NFL games.
It's a great question, right? I mean, because they're all on at the same time. I mean, I'm going to have 5 TVs in my house going at one time on Saturday, just because that's me. I don't know if everybody will be able to do that, but I just like watching all the games at once. So let's go for it. NFL will always win, but it is the first college football playoff. It's expanded this much, and there's some intriguing games on Saturday. So I think they'll get some numbers. I don't know if they'll get like the massive, old CBS, ABC 3:30 numbers or primetime numbers. They might. I mean, because there's not a night NFL game, so that night game will be a big one. Tennessee, Ohio State. That's the one. That's the one to watch.
Not sure what JP's serving at his sports bar with all those televisions, but I imagine that JP and I could put down a case and a half of beer easy on a Saturday watching these games side by side. I have said for the longest time that this weekend needs an upset for the college football playoff to take hold. Do you agree with that statement or no?
No. Then the teams that are favored probably don't either. They're like, no, wait a minute. We got to beat these guys. So you got to win the games. That's what the playoff is for. And, if the underdog happens to lose, guess what? You still watch the rest of March Madness, don't you? If there's a year where there's chalk, well, okay, we still watch it because there's really good teams still playing football. So I get the intrigue of the new teams coming in and all this stuff, but maybe I'm just skewed on that. I'll watch anything. I'll watch all those games, no matter who's in them.
Is there an underdog? And, Tennessee's a 7-point dog. I think they're the best dog, or Indiana's close to that against Notre Dame as well. Both at 7. Is there an underdog whose chances you like the best between, let's see, Tennessee's the 9, Indiana's the 10, SMU's the 11, Clemson's the 12?
How does Ohio State handle the heat after Michigan and missing the championship game, and Tennessee fans allegedly invading the Horseshoe, and they got the pre-sale code and did the whole deal, I guess, and bought all these tickets. So they'll be orange. Usually it's like in the closed end of the Horseshoe, in the upper left corner is where the visiting fans are. It's like 2 sections, right? For the
Big Ten games. And I think they're only given like 3,500 seats.
Yeah.
And my guess is there'll be 30,000 there.
I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be shocked at all because Tennessee's, they got a chance. So I think that's the one to watch. How does Ohio State handle the early part of the game? If they're getting behind and it's getting tight or they're having some issues, how do they come back from that? Because they're in their own head, I think, right now in a lot of ways up there. So if they can weather the early storm, and then you got a ball game. If not, they could be in real trouble.
Well, and there's two storms. There's the one on the field, and JP, you know it. If it doesn't go well, all the people dressed in scarlet and gray are going to be letting their faithful know the displeasure that they have towards them because they're already pissed going into this game.
Yeah. And Ryan Day's been hearing it for years up there, and this would just be the worst case scenario for him. Another loss to Michigan and then a home playoff game if they can't get over the finish line in this one. So I think it's massive. I mean, who knows if they run him out if they lose? I don't know. But
36 million. I mean, to run them out, you need 36 million.
They've got it. They can find it.
But they just don't want to give it to him.
Right. They need to use it for, players.
5 stars, right.
Yeah, that's right. You got players, Jimmy's and Joe's. So I don't know. I think Tennessee has a real good chance to go up there. I don't know if does Indiana have the juice to go into Notre Dame and do it? I don't know about that.
I think
you saw them more than I did, Dave.
I did. I saw them a couple times. Their defensive line's pretty good. I think they can hang with Notre Dame for a while. I don't know how they're going to score a ton of points. We saw Michigan make an adjustment at halftime and shut Indiana down. And Ohio State, after sitting back for a quarter and a half, made the same adjustment in which they said, your receivers are cute. You can't beat our corners, and we are going to just go after the quarterback. And Indiana had issues with both those. And I got to think Notre Dame does the same thing. I mean, they challenged USC's receivers to beat them. Don't you think they're going to challenge Indiana's?
Yeah, they absolutely should. I mean, it makes sense to me. I can just imagine, though, the pearl clutching that would go on if Indiana went into South Bend and won that game. Are you kidding me? All the blue bloods around the country are like, JP, Notre Dame losing at home to Indiana.
My grandmother used to watch Notre Dame games with the rosary. It was the only time I ever saw it was a Notre Dame game, not on Sundays.
Oh, man. That would rock a lot of people's world if that were to happen. So I'm kind of pulling for it.
I think SMU's got a puncher's chance after the way they came back against Clemson.
Yeah.
I think that quarterback's special. I think that they have some opportunities, and I don't think Penn State, unless the offense shows up against Oregon, because we've not seen that in 2 years.
You want to talk about big game moments where teams have not been able to come through. Oh, my gosh, Penn State, James Franklin. We saw the goal line against Ohio State. I mean,
you were there.
I was there. It was like, okay. And now the next week they adjusted and gave it to the tight end at the goal line, and he scored twice. Shocking. Can they handle that pressure as well? That's another one. And that's the underdog role, the SMU thing. The way they fought back in that ACC game was got them in the playoff, in my opinion. That was the performance that got them in. They didn't win the game, but they didn't get blown out, and they rallied late and had a chance. That's what got them in over Alabama. So ride the wave, right? Pony Express.
Good news for Penn State. Their draw is SMU, Boise State to get to the semis. Bad news for Penn State is if they win those 2 games, James Franklin will still be told he still hasn't beaten a good team. Now good luck against Georgia or Notre Dame, who he likely would meet then in the semis.
How did Oregon get the bad draw? They're like undefeated team, and they got the hardest path. Like they didn't reseed this thing. I don't like. It's weird.
Do you think they should reseed it? Is that the simple solution to this?
I mean, what do they do at the tournament basketball?
They don't. They put a bracket up, and that's what it is. And that's what they're trying to copy. They're not going the NFL model where they reseed after every round.
Here's the problem, though, JP. Do you reseed by seeding or by rankings? Because if you reseed here, Oregon, unless there's an upset somewhere, would do what? Play the winner of Ohio State, Tennessee.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's tough. Maybe.
So do you need to reseed by their end of the season ranking?
That might be the play, because that makes the rankings, still valuable.
Yes. And then in theory, you're giving the top seed, like if SMU wins, that sort of deal.
Playing the 12, right? So that would be my thing. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It's an experiment.
He's JP Shadrick. Follow him on X at JP Shadrick, Shadrick.
Jags Raiders Sunday, 425. Catch the fever. It's going to be a game.
Well, technically, yes, it will be a game. Okay. Oh, sorry, you have to work it. I really do. Listen, have a great Christmas broadcast.
Thanks, guys. We'll
Chiefs
talk
and
to you
Steelers.
next week.
Yes.
We'll talk to you next Friday.
Yes, we will. Safe travels to and from. JP Shadrick, Merry Christmas to you.
You too, man.
All the best. Thanks for joining us once again on Miller and Moulton and on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. We started our show 18 years ago and have been fired 3 times, but Miller and Moulton have never lived on the edge like we are now. We have our best morning ratings ever, are steadily adding affiliates, yet we only have a few sponsors. And if that doesn't change, we can't continue. But if you want to advertise on Miller and Moulton, reach out to one of us directly by texting sponsor to 21,000 or contact Mark on X at that Mark Miller or me at the David Moulton. You can save Miller and Moulton and make your business some serious money by texting 21,000 now. The world famous cigar bar started as a neighborhood place in downtown Fort Myers, and now it's a brand, a destination with 4 locations. The original place, Henry Street, Fort Myers, Gulf Coast Town Center, on Southeast 47th Terrace off the Cape Coral Parkway, and the Lounge on West 1st Street in Fort Myers. A place to go, whether you just need a relaxing drink and a smoke after a tough day at work, or a place to go celebrate. From relaxation to celebration, the world famous cigar bar.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
JP just sent me a text. His doors open at noon. Super informal. Cold beer and bourbon. I'll order some barbecue for the 4 o'clock games.
Love
it. Rest pause. If Tennessee wins, some Ohio State fans may come out of the crowd and help the Vols plant the flag. I think they'll be that angry. They do. At FGCU. I'll be coming to town. That's the plan.
I was going to say you'll probably never come back here.
Not true.
Huh.
I've actually asked, can I come back for do baseball on the road? Logic Man, I don't know. We've got plans in 2025, maybe. And who's he?
It's a buddy. Does he have to get that? I mean, it's a buddy. Does he really have to get that specific?
Well, it's just one. Does Buddy have a name?
Buddy.
Maybe it's Buddy.
And I say no, we'll never have that segment again, Logic Man.
Tuesday, February 18th, JU at FGCU. I will drive down in the afternoon on the 17th.
For what it's worth, neither do I.
A good call will make the show better. Some calls, when there's a really hot topic, can make the show sound better. Otherwise, and I had to learn this because I was a big calls guy. And otherwise, if the callers, if you don't have those two criteria, like a good call, an 8 or above on a scale of 1 to 10, or a 7 or above, or you've got a hot topic going, people, very opinionated, what have you, you can go to the phones. But nowadays with texting and Twitch and, I mean, we can get a ton of opinion on the show. Whereas before, that was the only way. But the next time you're listening to a show and the call is or bad, think about your reaction. How many times do you turn it off?
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Some final thoughts, a pick or two, maybe a system play or two. System play's having a good week.
Really is.
A, we didn't do a poll question today.
No, we did not.
B, apparently, and this should have been our poll question, today is National Hard Candy Day.
So what's the poll question?
Well,
do you like hard candy?
Well, just hard candy of choice. I mean, do mints count as hard candy?
Depends on the mint.
Or the candy. Boom, boom. I have to admit, I go to the doctor. Everyone in this household's going to the doctor now. So we're quite a lot of doctor visits in the family these days. And they have hard candy out front. And I just am reading it before I go in for my appointments.
I think of going to grandmother's house when it's hard candy. My mother-in-law has the bowl of hard candy on the table at all times.
Right.
And so my immediate thought when you go hard candy, I don't think about a Jolly Rancher. I think about the bowl of candy at grandma's house, so to speak. That's the connotation that hard candy gives me.
Right.
Something that's at grandma's house.
Does Skittles qualify?
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
it begins hard and then it
gets softer, but I don't know how soft it gets. It's not like an M&M. A Skittles is not an M&M. I dare I say that Skittles is a hard candy. The lowest level of hard candy, but it fits in the category.
I do like a Skittles from time to time.
Darn right. Darn right. They have those in the booth, by the way, both booths. I'm looking.
Skittles?
Yeah, they do. They have the little packs of Skittles. Okay, the little square packs. Oh, yeah. Oh, I crush them. I'm not supposed to have any of it. I have 4 packs of Skittles during the broadcast. I'm watching my sugar and all, so I stop at 4. Otherwise, I'd really go at it hard. We had a bowl of M&Ms in Minneapolis on Monday night. I've never seen that before. With a big scooper too. A bowl of M&Ms.
Okay. All right. I'm glad that you brought up the bowl of M&Ms with the scooper. That's the key part.
Right.
First off, did you have any M&Ms?
Of course.
Did you use the scooper?
Yes. There are other people around. Of course I use the scooper.
Didn't stop you before.
First off, all right, it was 1 piece of cheese at the edge of a cheese platter, okay? Literally, the part was hanging over the edge. I grabbed the part that was hanging over the edge and ate the slice of cheese. Didn't touch any other cheese on the plate. You know that, okay? And yet, you've chosen for 20 years to use it against me.
So did you take the scooper and put them in a bowl, or did you take the scoop and pour it into your hand?
Bowl.
Or did you take the scoop and pour it into your mouth?
Did not do that, but I did have, the little square plates they had. I did, when I decided to go heavy, I'm like, I probably need a plate. But when I just wanted to go over and grab 8 M&Ms, by the way, they had red M&Ms. I don't see those very often either. A bowl of M&Ms with a scooper and a bunch of red ones in it.
I'm just impressed you used the scooper.
I did. There were other people around.
Yeah, but
including the 4th highest ranking guy at the network. I mean,
you guys are like a broadcast family. You can't share a bowl of M&Ms. What can you share?
Well, we could. I mean, if it was just me and, my guys, the other spotters, Bill and Ed, no, I'd just reach my hand in right in front of them.
Because Troy and Joe aren't eating any M&Ms.
No, probably not.
They're both very healthy, very skinny, very in shape. Hate both of them.
Yeah.
And, but it's really you and the spotters and a couple of camera guys that got a shot at this, a floor director.
Well, and the crew, there's, ESPN has bigger crew than CBS does, and Fox for that matter. So the booth is more crowded with ESPN. So it's wanting to not go, man, Moulton grabs the M&Ms by his hand. Then the word would spread and, all of a sudden, somebody would tap me on the shoulder a couple of weeks down the road. Hey, stop grabbing the M&Ms with your hands. Do you know how many people then would know that I do that? Okay. So no, they provided the scooper. That was a courtesy, and not a spoon either. I mean, like a scooper. I was impressed.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for getting a scoop of M&Ms. I'm a little jealous of that.
I had more than one. Let me tell you, I just had 4.
4 scoops.
Might have been 5 scoops, 4 trips. I think I did 3, 1 scoop and 2 double scoop. Double scoop, I used the plate.
By watching your sugars, it's not supposed to mean watching them go down your gullet.
See, you remember when calories on vacation don't count? You remember that edict? Somebody came up with, hey, don't worry about it. Calories on vacation don't count.
Right.
Well, I kind of feel that way when I work the football games. Whatever I eat in the booth, that doesn't really count. My 3 squares, which is 4.5 around it, that's what counts. What I eat in the booth, that doesn't count. I'll burn that off.
Those are empty calories.
Yeah, I'll work that off. Because I'm doing so much exercise in the booth, standing there.
Well, just the stress works them right out. The stress of working a game.
I don't have any stress. Troy and Gary have stress. They're getting information from me. Do you know how stressful that is? It's kind of like hosting a show with me. It's stressful.
I don't find it stressful. The only thing I find stressful is the top of every hour, just that the damn music plays. If the music plays, I feel pretty good. That's all I'm really worried about. Is the recorder working and did the music play? Those two things happen. I'm pretty confident from that point going forward.
And Moulton, if you could hit the damn cues, I'd really appreciate it.
I don't worry about you. I worry about Pat.
Well, and with good reason. Because Pat, he doesn't give a damn about the cues on his show. So he's certainly not going to give a damn about them on ours.
And for those of you that just listen on radio, David most of the time takes us to break. It's just kind of the way we've done the show. He comes out of break, he takes us to break. So I give him a countdown, a visual countdown on camera, so he knows exactly when we go to break. David is very good about hitting said breaks most of the time. There's the occasion that he goes over by a second or two. Deal with it is the way I kind of looked at it. I don't chastise him. I don't say anything about it. I just deal with it. But there have been times with Pat Kerwin where we get to the 10-second cue and I've got the fingers going and Pat's nowhere near the end of his point. And then I start looking at the commercials going, well, it looks like we're going 30 more seconds and I'm dumping a spot.
We dumped a minute with a Pat segment a couple of weeks ago. We dumped a minute. You could tell Pat hadn't even made the turn for home yet on his answer. It was like, okay, all right.
That's why Moulton and I give each other 2-minute cues before the break with Pat. It's the only guess that we give. We got about 2 minutes. That could be one question. It could be, it could be just this answer.
I think Pat said to us one time, you guys are cute when you say 30 seconds or we've got about a minute left. Yeah, that's for you guys. That's not for me. So anyway, today's National Hard Candy Day. First off, all right, is Skittles count? Is Skittles a hard candy? The lowest form of hard candy, but is that a hard candy?
I say no.
And then do mints count as hard candy?
No, again. It depends on the mint.
All right. How about the
red and white mint that a lot of restaurants will give you? That's a hard candy.
Okay. What
like
about
a Mentos is not a hard candy.
What about the Lifesaver hard candies and mints?
Lifesavers are a hard candy.
And the Lifesaver mints?
Yes.
Ooh. Okay. See, we could have had a hard candy poll question.
Day late, dollar short.
Yes, we are. It kind of, the story of Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. That's all coming up. We'll try to be on time.
Police department is growing. They are currently looking for police officers and are offering a $10,000 signing bonus to newly hired officers. If you desire a career in law enforcement, or if you are already in law enforcement and thinking about making a move to a better agency, think Cape Coral Police Department. If you're looking for a police department that is committed to excellence, that invests in the highest level of training, state-of-the-art equipment, and some of the highest compensation in all of Southwest Florida, then the Cape Coral Police Department is for you. Visit capecops.com. That's capecops.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. Sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
For the record, I put it up as a poll question.
What is Skittles a hard candy?
Yep.
Somebody wants to know, is Tic Tac a hard candy?
No.
My mom says TikTok is not a hard candy. It's a breath mint. I don't know. Not everybody. I would argue, Mom, most people don't use Tic Tacs as a breath mint.
Yes, but that's what it is.
It is.
So I'm not saying this to say that because I started lifting weights as a way to shape up. Long story, the whole blood sugar thing. But I haven't been able to sit down properly in 2 days from lifting weights with my legs, which was the first time I've done it in 20 years. But David, when I sit here for an hour and then get up and go to the bathroom, I walk like an 80-year-old down the hallway.
Oh my goodness.
I told my wife, I said, come here. She goes, I go, I got something funny to show you. She goes, can it wait? I'm like, not really. And she goes, what was it? I'm like, me walking down the stairs. Over here, it looks fine. Walking downstairs, it is something. God, am I old.
Well, and the key will be, since you're that sore, can you do it like 3 times?
Well, I'm trying to do it twice a week for each, upper body, lower body. I've got a system that I'm using or whatever, but holy crap. The upper body's not bad. The lower body is not feeling really that good.
Right. It's not into it. It doesn't like the plan.
But I just went to use the facilities and we had JP on, and those first 8 steps were a mother. Not really. And that's the thing, Canada Relief. Not really. The whole idea was to not overexert myself, but I did anyhow.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
Diamond District bonus hour as we wrap up this Thursday before Christmas and Hanukkah. Thanks so much for being with us. A reminder, no show on Christmas, no show on New Year's. Otherwise, we're working. And on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, we're working, means Mark and Seth Everett. Joining Mark on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, I'll be traveling back from Green Bay to El Paso on the respective days, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Heck, the Sun Bowl is on New Year's Eve.
Who's in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl?
Washington and Louisville. I think both teams are down to their. It's not bad. It's not a bad game, but both teams are down to their backup quarterbacks. I think because of the portal, which is kind of a bummer. But both coaches I like. But Fish for Washington and the guy who was at Purdue for Louisville, Brom. Okay, I mean I like both coaches a lot. So, if you're into, your 8-win teams playing in bowl games, it's a decent game, but, whatever. It's El Paso. Been there, done that.
You've got quite a trip to get to El Paso, right? Traveling through the night to get back to Dallas to go to El Paso in the morning.
Air Aikman. Taking Air Aikman. Monday night, the 30th, we're in San Francisco. And then I said, you staying out here for New Year's or you head back to Dallas? You go, I'm back to Dallas. I go, I got to jump on the plane. So I think we get in 4-ish.
So
Dallas
you didn't
time.
even really ask. You just told him.
Well, I asked. Well, I asked first if he was heading back to Dallas. And then
then you said, I got to jump on the plane.
Well,
you offered yourself a ride.
I said, can I? Yes, I did. I said, can I come back to Dallas with you? And I did look right at him and say, on Air Aikman. Man, I've called it Air Aikman the whole time I've known him. And he laughed, and he said, sure. And it turns out once I did it, the other two spotter, Joe's guys, they're coming with me too, because they got to do a bowl game on New Year's Eve in Houston.
So you open the floodgates.
Right. Yeah, well, once he's inviting one person, then I think he's got 8 seats. Okay, he's got at least 6. Okay, but I think he can fit 8. Once he invites one, it's, you just ask. He's good about it. He doesn't say no.
Well, he's flying. I mean,
right.
What's the difference whether there's 1 on the plane or 6 on the plane?
Right. Well, he may not like all 6 that are on the plane, though, but I'm telling you, he says yes, though. He's good about it.
Does he have a scooper in his M&Ms?
I don't think Troy would ever have M&Ms. You're right. He's very healthy. He does have his beer, though, and his beer is only available in Texas and Oklahoma. So you can get it on the plane, though.
So you can have an 8 after the game?
I may have 2. Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1917, the NHL had its first 2 games played. The first one ever played on artificial ice in Toronto, and the Montreal teams win.
Imagine that.
The Canadiens beat the Senators, and the Montreal Wanderers beat the Toronto Arenas.
The Wanderers?
The Wanderers.
Oh, the Wanderer.
Exactly.
Go round and round and round and round.
Skip all the way to 1980. Not a very busy day today. Raging Bull premiered, and so did the comedy 9 to 5. Both good in their own way.
Yes.
One you would consider maybe great. The other, it's above average. 1984, Scotty Bowman wins his 691st regular season games, the most wins by any coach in NHL history.
Didn't he win like 200 more?
Yes. It was 84.
He was with Buffalo then, wasn't he?
Buffalo, or was it Buffalo? Yeah.
Yeah, he left Montreal. I think he was with Buffalo.
Buffalo. Also today in 84, Wayne Gretzky at 23 became the 18th NHLer to score 1,000 points. He was the youngest.
He would play for 13 more years. Golly.
Today in 98, the House of Representatives votes to impeach Bill Clinton. And in 2010, as I mentioned earlier in the show, the miracle at the New Meadowlands, as the Eagles, trailing the Giants by 21 points with 8 minutes to play, score 4 touchdowns in the final 7 minutes, including the walk-off punt return by Deshaun Jackson. Brezhnev, Doug Harvey, Al Kaline, Reggie White would have all celebrated birthdays today.
Oh, wow. That's quite a quartet there.
Kevin McHale, Randall McDaniel, Alyssa Milano, Warren Sapp, and the dynamic half of the Rhodes Scholar duo of DJ and Paulina Gretzky. Paulina Gretzky celebrating her birthday today.
Alyssa Milano, huh?
Yeah.
First digit of 5?
52.
Oh. Paulina get to 40 yet?
No.
Okay.
She's 36.
Gotcha. So, the reason why I know this is I had to perform this in a school play one time. Thomas Paine's essay, The American Crisis. It was on this day in 1776 that it was published. This is when Thomas Paine wrote, "These are the times that try men's souls." And it goes on. I had to perform that in a school play one time. I was George Washington. Okay.
Really?
And somehow they worked Thomas Paine into the play involving George Washington.
So you plagiarized.
Well,
you were doing GW, and they wanted you doing Paine.
I was doing what they told me to do. I was in 6th grade. I was just happy they made Patty Sisolak Martha.
How was the wig?
Well, it didn't fit my big head really well. It's kind of like one size fits all. And
they ordered it for the 5th grader, and you had the 8th grade head, is what you're telling me?
Right. Yeah. Uh-huh. I was in 6th grade, but yeah, it was, my head was bigger than most every other 6th grader in the school. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So also, I wore sneakers. And I'll never forget, the local paper came and took a picture, a little wherever the feature section is, what have you. And so I'm in it with Patty Sisolak as George and Martha Washington. And literally on the caption underneath, they said, "Did George wear sneakers?" ?
That's outstanding.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Massachusetts for the good, where a 20-year-old blind cat fell through the ice on a frozen lake and was then rescued by a pair of local residents. Westlake Animal Control said that they received a call about a cat standing on a piece of floating ice in the middle of a lake. The caller said she could hear the ice crackling beneath the animal. Later, the feline fell into the frigid water. A pair of witnesses, identified only as Chris S. and Nate P., rushed into action before animal control personnel arrived. They used a rowboat to venture out into the lake, a shovel to break the ice along the way. They plucked the cat out of the water, and the duo took the wet cat indoors to warm it up with blankets. The cat was identified as Tiki, a 20-year-old blind cat who went missing from the owner's home. For the bad, we go to Naples, where a pair of criminals tried to steal some merchandise from a Burlington coat factory. Franco Guzman and Romana Bastisterio went inside the Burlington coat factory with empty bags and a backpack and tried to rip off about $2,000 worth of merchandise. Naples Police Department picked up the pair when they left the store. Finally, the ugly, we go to Estero, Florida. Right in my gritty streets, David. I'm telling you. Where an Estero man faces charges after he threatened another motorist with a machete during a road rage incident.
Philip Zimjewski faces charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Officers responded to a disturbance when the sheriff's deputies arrived. The victim explained she had been involved in a road rage incident. He chased her down for several blocks, flashing lights. At a light, got out of the car with his machete and approached the victim. The victim, fortunately, was not harmed, and he was arrested, where he's been placed under a $25,000 bond. And that, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly, brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department. Go to capecops.com. That's capecops.com. $10,000 sign-on bonus for new officers simply by going to capecops.com.
So we got Thursday Night Football tonight. It's a key game. Broncos with a win clinch a playoff spot for the first time in 9 years. They are 3-point underdogs at the Chargers. Chargers' last home game of the year. Broncos, tough closing stretch. Chargers, Bengals on the road. Chiefs at home. Maybe they'll get lucky and the Chiefs will have everything clinched. But Denver right now fighting Baltimore and the Chargers for seeding, wild card seeding in the AFC. Chargers just trying to get in. They're 2 up on the Colts, the Dolphins, and the Bengals with 3 to play. And they've already beaten the Bengals, so they're in good shape against them. College football tonight. We got a bowl game.
Of course we do.
It's the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. Hello. 7 o'clock ESPN2. Georgia Southern against Sam Houston. I mean, that's you sure you want this bowl game now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want these teams. I don't care who one team is. I need the MAC team for the other. I've got to bring down the Midwest and the people in and around this area who have some affiliation with MAC schools. One of the schools has to be a MAC school. I don't care who the other one is.
So you need like your MAC champion, the Ohio Bobcats. That's who
probably won't get the MAC champion. I'm probably getting the MAC runner-up.
Okay. All right.
Yes, I'm taking a bowl game.
Okay.
People don't watch the Senior Bowl. It sells out every year in Mobile. It's their thing. It's part of their community. That's what I want. It's something to be a part of this community.
That's a good point. So the NBA only had one game Tuesday night, the whole NBA Cup final, and took last night off. So as you could imagine, just about everybody's playing tonight. 26 of the 30 are in action tonight. But the Heat are one of the 4 not playing tonight. Magic are hosting Oklahoma City, 7 o'clock on TNT. Now, that's impressive. They actually went with, the best game at 7 o'clock. They didn't go Bulls-Celtics, which would have been real easy to do. OKC at Orlando at 7. Knicks-Timberwolves at 9:30. That's Karl Anthony Towns, Randall, DiVincenzo playing each other for the first time since they were all traded for each other. But 13 NBA games tonight. Not a good night of college hoops. Not a ranked team in action. So there's no system play.
Not a one.
Nope.
And it's been working, but that's all right. We get the night off. The Lightning hosting the Blues tonight, David.
One of 9 NHL games. This is a big ESPN Plus night. No national television for any of the hockey. You got to stream it.
Since I missed it for the segment I was supposed to get it in for, let me get it in now like I've done all week long. Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call them today, 239-427-3441. 239-427-3441 for either their Bonita Springs or Naples locations, or go online, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Mention Miller and Moulton, get 10% off. So there
you go. Yeah, take that. Lee Sterling tomorrow with some playoff game and bowl predictions at 7 o'clock. Lee Sterling on the show. Pat Kerwin joins us for his regular half hour, interrupted by commercial break. at 8 o'clock tomorrow. So there. We are reaching out to John Fanta, who's become a college basketball media star. He's in the 239. He's at City of Palms. He was last night, and he's there all day today. So if you're going to the City of Palms, walk up to him and say, "Hey, John, Miller and Moulton told me to say hi, but we're trying to book him for the show tomorrow morning." So that's what we got for you. Have a great rest of your Thursday, and thanks for listening. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower is so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
For 22 years, Jason and Todd at the Diamond District have been making Christmas merry and bright, and this year is no exception. Discover the best values on diamond stud earrings and diamond bracelets at 23% off, and more deals on diamond fashion jewelry, pre-owned Rolex watches, and exotic gemstone jewelry, along with estate jewelry. Jason and Todd will take up to 50% off. Santa's GPS points to one jewelry store, the Diamond District.
Gentlemen, as your wife mentioned getting new flooring, but you don't want to go through the hassle, well, go see the Floor Meisters in Naples next to Costco. They understand your time and money are important, so they'll make it as painless as possible. With a huge in-stock selection of carpet and Cortec, they can get you the floor your wife's been asking for. They carry wood, vinyl, carpet, and tile. If you do it yourself, no problem. They can handle that as well. So go see TJ at the Floor Meisters and tell them, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.